Chapter 2409. The mission arrived. You have injured me. You. At this time, the 36 World King stood atop a giant vine, looking down at Lin Ling, his eyes filled with a gloomy light. Third generation, killing me, the last generation, should be a simple matter. Lin Ling didn't answer, but instead asked a question of his own. Without a doubt, his words were filled with sarcasm. The 36 World King's complexion changed and his anger became even more wild. He lifted his left hand high up and pointed towards the heavens. This move can erase you. Thunder drawing art. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Clouds and rain tumbled in the skies, forming a giant vortex. The scene was extremely shocking. It was like thunder was being summoned from the distant infinite worlds, restless and ready to strike. Thunder drawing art, a third-grade world origin martial art. It could draw down thunder from the universe and strike down all living beings. Lin Ling also realized how terrifying this move was. He never imagined that although this person had no enmity with him, this person would actually try to kill him because of someone else's request. There is no way you can defend against this move. You will only be blown to pieces by me. The 36 World King sneered. His finger pointed towards Lin Ling, causing the earth to shake. As if it had been summoned by something, green demonic thunder came crashing down from the skies. This thunder was like a giant vine, filled with a wild and monstrous aura, shocking to the eye. Hurry and retreat. Everyone's complexions changed as they quickly drew backwards. How terrifying! The anger of a third generation was like the wrath of the heavens. For Lin Ling to be able to fight until now was already an amazing feat, but no one believed that Lin Ling would still be alive. A tremendous pressure fell down from the skies, like a palm smashing down, causing Lin Ling's feet to sink. He could feel that this giant thunder didn't have the might of the ultimate Thunder Dao, but because the rank of this martial art was very high, it was enough to kill him with just its strength alone. Of course, from the previous collision, Lin Ling also knew that if he reached the 4th stage of the World King realm, killing the 36 World Kings would be easy. All he lacked was a bit of time. Moreover, he had been hiding a powerful trump card all this time. Shockingly, it was the true flame of time and space, the divine steel of time and space. However, Lin Ling didn't want to reveal his trump card. After all, there were too many people watching. That might not be the case. Lin Ling coldly spat out. When the demonic lightning in the sky came crashing down, his body instantly disappeared. Evasion domain. Rumble. The entire street was filled with green fey thunder. The martial artists who were close by were directly ravaged to death. That's all you've got. Under the tyrannical rumbling, the 36 World Kings let out disdainful voices, causing many people to shake their heads. That monstrous Lin Ling had most likely died. What a pity. Finishing touch. However, at this moment, a sword light shot over. It was like a crescent moon, decisive in its killing intent. Impossible. The complexions of the 36 World Kings changed. Lin Ling hadn't died. He immediately formed complex seals with his hands, causing the fey thunder vine beneath his feet to shoot up into the skies, firmly protecting him. Of course, his reaction was quick. Even so, a sword still pierced through his arm. Blood gushed out, causing his complexion to become even more fierce. And above a building on the street, Lin Ling's figure appeared. His blue robes fluttered in the wind, his ancient sword pointed to the ground. Seeing this, the entire street fell into a deathly silence. Beneath that massive fey thunder, Lin Ling was actually still alive. How is this possible? My apologies. I must have disappointed you. At the same time, Lin Ling's indifferent voice floated out. It was like a silent slap that fell onto the 36 World Kings' faces. The 36 World Kings, the third generation of Radiant Academy, had a boundary and martial arts that were stronger than Lin Ling's. He was confident that he could kill Lin Ling in a single move. However, the result was that after they had exchanged several moves, Lin Ling hadn't died. Instead, the 36 World Kings had been injured. This was simply a great miracle. To the 36 World Kings, this was the greatest shame of their lives. Lin Ling, hurry and come to Radiant Academy. But at this time, the voice of an old man echoed through the skies. It was Ancestor Dragon Granny. The 36 World Kings froze in place, blue veins bulging out of his forehead. Since a senior from Radiant Academy had summoned Lin Ling, it was impossible for him to attack again. Otherwise, if he angered that senior, he would have to bear the consequences. Then, as he looked at his bloody arms, his complexion became even more ferocious. Lin Ling's eyes flashed. He knew that the academy had assigned a mission to him. He immediately informed Xian Yuan Gub and the others, and then rushed towards Radiant Academy without stopping. "The next time I see you, I will kill you." At the same time, Lin Ling's voice filled with thick killing intent also floated out. To him, there was no enmity between him and the 36 World Kings. But the 36 World Kings had toyed with him as if he were an ant. If they wanted to kill him, they would kill him. "You stray dog." In the distance, the 36 World Kings roared. Lin Ling was truly a lucky bastard. Otherwise, he would have killed Lin Ling. In truth, he didn't know that if he wasn't in the middle of the street, Lin Ling would have already used the space-time divine steel to kill him. So, he was the one who was lucky. A loser who only knows how to run. Mai Zi and the others had ugly complexions as they coldly mocked. Today they had dispatched 2 third generations, but Lin Ling was still alive. This was not something they wanted to see. They were very unhappy in their hearts. 36 World Kings, you have disappointed me. In the distance, the prematurely aged demon guardian coldly said. He was just lucky. The anger in the 36 World King's heart grew even stronger. He could feel the mocking gazes from all around him. "You don't need to attack. Let me do it." Demon Guardian left behind these words and left with his bamboo basket. "I'm so angry." Seeing this, the 36 World King's complexion became even more ferocious. He was the World King of the 36 worlds. He could kill whoever he wanted. When had he ever failed? Today was the first time. He is this year's last generation disciple? How fierce. A 9th grade talent. If his cultivation realm increases, then perhaps even the 36 World Kings won't be his match. How did he avoid that demonic thunder before? The crowd began to discuss spiritedly. Many people's faces were filled with horror. "Die!" As if he had heard these voices, the 36 World Kings pointed out a finger. Tyrannical thunder blasted several last-generation disciple candidates to death. No one on the street dared to speak anymore. Then these powerhouses also left. Of course, the 36 World Kings also left behind a tyrannical sentence. Rainforest Market. Whoever dares to go there again will be killed by me. The street was different from the Resplendent Academy. If they didn't like someone, they would kill them. This was because they were third-generation disciples, and many people on the street were candidates. Perhaps they would be eliminated tomorrow, so what was there to fear? How tyrannical. That's right. He killed just because he said a word. Too arrogant. I hope that rising star Lin Ling can kill him. What a pity. Lin Ling isn't the 36 World Kings match. Before, the 36 World Kings must have underestimated him. The surrounding people also began to disperse. As for Xian Yuan Good and the others, their complexions were dignified. They hoped that Lin Ling would be able to overcome this calamity. At this time, Lin Ling was carrying an icy cold killing intent as he flew towards the Resplendent Academy. After he arrived at the martial god world, Tian Liuli and the others had been his greatest enemies, and they were also the ones he wanted to kill the most. But now there was one more person, and that was the 36 World Kings. Before this, if he hadn't been so calm, he would have already activated the Space and Time Divine Tablet. Once I reach the 4th level of the World King realm, I will kill you like a dog. Chapter 2410. Reaching the rising sun boundary. Arriving at the plaza where the assessment was held not long ago, Ancestor Dragon Granny had been waiting there for a long time. When she saw Lin Ling, she couldn't help but smile. However, Lin Ling could see that Ancestor Dragon Granny's eyes were filled with worry. Obviously, she knew what had happened before. The waters of the martial god world are very deep. I could help you before, but I can't help you forever. Especially the Flying Dragon Organization. The assassins there are impossible to guard against. Ancestor Dragon Granny said. I know. Lin Ling nodded. Ancestor Dragon Granny would definitely help him on major matters, but it was not good for her to interfere in a clash between geniuses. After all, this was the Resplendent Academy, a place where geniuses constantly clashed. If others helped, it would only attract more disdain. Fortunately, you didn't lose to him. Ancestor Dragon Granny relaxed when she saw that Lin Ling was fine. If there weren't so many people, I would have killed him long ago. Lin Ling shook his head. His words caused Ancestor Dragon Granny's heart to tremble. Lin Ling could defeat 3 generations of geniuses? Was this a joke? However, based on her understanding of Lin Ling, this young man was not someone who spoke arrogant words. If he said it, he would naturally do it. This meant that Lin Ling had a powerful trump card that she did not know about. The mission this time is to help a prince of the Rising Sun boundary ascend to the throne. The Rising Sun boundary is a very ancient boundary. Although the cultivators there are not strong, because of their history, the Qing province attaches great importance to them. The person you are looking for is called Sun Yaoyong. Just help him become a king. After that, Ancestor Dragon Granny handed a jade slip to Lin Ling. There was a detailed explanation of the mission inside. After the mission is completed, you will become a disciple of the last generation, and the academy will reward you with a 3-Dao lotus. Hearing this, Lin Ling was delighted. The 3-Dao lotus was very rare and came from the chaos of the universe. Even Li Xiaoyao had not found such a treasure in the past. Go, have a safe journey. Under Ancestor Dragon Granny's laughter, Lin Ling stepped on the journey. In the vast starry sky, in the chaos of the universe, Lin Ling's figure appeared. He stared at the endless starry sky, and a sense of heroism rose in his heart. Roaming the primal chaos was something that every martial artist yearned for the most. I wonder how things are at home. Then Lin Ling looked to the north. That was the north border, and the sacred land of the rainforest was there. Unfortunately, he had a mission at hand and did not have the time to go back and take a look. Moreover, he urgently needed to increase his strength. This was especially true for the fire element, which was of utmost importance. He planned to fight the 36 world kings once this trip was over and kill them all. The sky is high for the birds to fly, and the sea is wide for the fish to swim. He didn't place the matter of the 36 world kings in his heart. Lin Ling took out a jug of wine. With the ancient sword on his back, he happily repaid his debts of gratitude and enmity. Hot wine was in his throat. The Rising Sun world was an extremely ancient world in the Southern Territory. This world was clearly more powerful than Lin Ling's world. However, this world had a demonic creature that stirred up a storm of blood, causing this world to become extremely chaotic. Moreover, many powerful martial artists had also died. And according to the mission records, the demonic creature that had appeared was the Flaming Lip World King. This World King wasn't too strong, but he was difficult to deal with and difficult to track down. He had hindered the birth of a new emperor of the Rising Sun world. Lin Ling's goal was to help the second prince ascend the throne and become the new emperor and world king. However, there were many people participating in this mission. There were also people from Heavenly Saint Academy and Blue Dominance Academy. After Lin Ling arrived at the Rising Sun world, he discovered that the skies here were even higher and the sun was even larger. The spiritual energy and gravity here also surpassed that of his homeland. The martial artists here are even stronger. They have all reached the World King realm. Lin Ling thought to himself. Luckily, the strongest martial artists here did not surpass the scope of Lin Ling's strength, so this mission wasn't too difficult. Most importantly, Lin Ling was interested in the Flaming Lip World King. This was because the flaming lip bead that the World King possessed could allow Lin Ling's space-time to rise to the level of an awakened divine body. Then Lin Ling casually entered a city, bought a horse, drank some wine, and set off. At the same time, he also began to comprehend the final layer of the profound sword record, the profound word sword. This sword was divided into 5 moves. When the final sword was slashed out, it formed a giant profound word that could cut down all. The primal chaos force contained within the sword was even stronger, reaching the lower 3rd grade. If he could successfully cultivate this sword, Lin Ling would be able to defeat the 36 world kings with ease. At this time, in the Rising Sun Great Empire, tens of thousands of troops had gathered, their momentum shaking the world. A prince prayed to the heavens, burned incense, and took a bath. Then the army was ready to set off. Today, the second prince wanted to confer the title of Emperor of a world. Thus, the entire world was in an uproar. However, the imperial mausoleum was far from here. The second prince wanted to bring the ancestral jade seal to the imperial mausoleum to offer a sacrifice to the heavens and announce this to the world. This was the rule of their world. The problem was that the road ahead was bound to be filled with dangers. There would be monsters stirring up trouble and hindering them. Thus, they asked the martial god world's martial gods to help. Are those the martial god geniuses? At this time in the royal square, the army stood quietly. The civil and military officials were whispering to each other. They stared at the dozen or so youths in the square, their faces filled with fear. Thank you to the martial god geniuses of the 3 great academies for assistance. We only need the help of 5 martial god geniuses for this trip to the Imperial Mausoleum. Sometimes too many people isn't good. So, may I ask which 5 martial god geniuses are willing to follow us? The second prince wore a dragon robe and spoke politely to the youths. Even though he was the world king of this world, the son of heaven, he didn't dare to neglect these youths. This was because these youths were the martial god geniuses from the 3 great academies of the Green Province. 5. That's very few. But this is normal. It's useless to have some trash follow us. A tall and sturdy youth said. This person's aura was extraordinary, and he was also a world king. However, he had received a mission from the Heavenly Saint Academy and had volunteered to come. It's hard to say who's trash, a young girl said with disdain. She held a whip in her hand. Around the whip, 4 stars flowed. Songling Academy's Jade Gem Fairy, don't be too confident. The tall and sturdy youth immediately retorted. What did you say? In front of my junior apprentice sister. Take back your arrogance, otherwise I don't mind teaching you a lesson. A green-robed youth immediately said. His strength was at the 5th level of the World King realm, and he was also one of the last candidates of the Songling Academy. Then come at me. However, the other party didn't back down. Seeing this, the second prince ruefully smiled. He couldn't afford to offend these people. After all, not only were they stronger than him, but their status was also higher than his. They were all world kings. Everyone, how about this? Let's draw a circle. You all will exchange a single move, and the loser will be eliminated. How about it? The second prince cautiously said. That's too simple. I can sweep away all of them by myself. Someone disdainfully smiled. The circle isn't too big, only 10 meters wide. All of you will enter it, and the most important thing is that the circle cannot be damaged. This elimination should be a bit difficult. The second prince smiled. Hearing this, everyone's eyes flashed. This was indeed difficult. Chapter 24:11. Saving time come. Then these geniuses nodded. They stared at each other, their eyes filled with a thick fighting spirit. They all wanted to eliminate each other. Then, over a dozen geniuses walked into the circle. Hold on, I'll also join this elimination round. But at this time, a smiling voice echoed out from the distance, causing everyone to look over. They saw a youth galloping towards them. His blue robes fluttered in the wind, giving off a feeling as if he were roaming the world. This person was Lin Ling. What a handsome young man. The army cried out in their hearts. In their eyes, this youth was like a god that had descended to earth. But those young martial gods from their academies were unhappy. This was because they had been preparing to begin, but this youth had suddenly arrived and even asked to join. Didn't this mean that they were all waiting for this youth to join? And most importantly, this youth was only at the 3rd level of the World King realm. What qualifications did he have? What a disgrace. You must have come here to enjoy the feeling of superiority. Someone mocked. Maybe he came here to covet the food of the royal family. After all, he has been eliminated. But the second prince will still invite him to a meal. Such a person, I will be the first to eliminate him. These geniuses indifferently said, all of them proud and arrogant. Of course, they were all masters of a world in the past, so they naturally had the qualifications to be proud. Brat, are you from Resplendent Academy? I've never seen you before. Someone lifted their chin and looked at Lin Ling. Because Lin Ling was this year's last generation disciple candidate, they naturally hadn't seen him before. Indeed, Lin Ling leapt down from his horse, slowly walking forwards. Rookie. Hearing this, the other geniuses also confirmed that Lin Ling was a newcomer. Then roll over here. This young master is in a good mood today. Because of the second prince, I will spare your arm. Someone stretched out a giant arm, slowly clenching it into a fist as he lightly said. When his fist moved, the entire rising sun boundary seemed to be in turmoil. Qianshan, don't mess around. If you destroy the drawn circle, you will be eliminated. Another person immediately said with a smile. My world essence is too great. If you want me to restrain my strength now, isn't that just like embroidery? But eliminating all of you is still simple. The young man who clenched his fist smiled confidently. For a moment, the auras of the young martial gods from the 3 great academies clashed, causing the second prince to smile bitterly. Beside him, a beautiful young woman walked over and frowned as she looked at the martial gods. Brother, these experts are so arrogant. They are very strong. We are like ants in front of them. Of course they are arrogant. If it wasn't for the long history of our rising sun boundary and the 3 great academies giving us face, I'm afraid these martial god geniuses wouldn't even look at us. The second prince shook his head and said, Royal brother is right. However, there are 28 martial god realm geniuses here. I wonder who will remain in the end. The beautiful young woman asked curiously. The second prince's gaze swept over them, and he said solemnly, the higher the cultivation level, the higher the success rate. After saying this, he looked at Lin Ling, who had already walked into the circle. He shook his head and said, that young man should be a candidate for these 2 years. His strength is a bit weak. Isn't he going to be humiliated? The beautiful young woman frowned. On the road of martial arts, being humiliated is unavoidable. Perhaps only after experiencing this will he be able to work harder. After all, I have heard that the 3 great academies have many missions, but most of the martial god geniuses that enter their academies fail to complete them. This is the reason their background is lacking. All right, let them begin. After the second prince explained, he smiled at the crowd and said, Begin. At almost the same time, the 10-meter-wide circle erupted with an aura. One person's aura was too strong. He rushed into the circle and was directly eliminated, leaving him depressed to the extreme. Being strong wasn't enough? As for the others, their methods of controlling their world essence were even more formidable. They all attacked, and in several breaths of time, those below the 5th stage of the World King realm were forced out of the circle. All of them had dark expressions, so angry that they had nothing to say. In just a moment, there were only 10 people left in the circle. 5 more people would be eliminated. You, a 3rd stage World King, haven't been eliminated yet? Someone suddenly cried out in alarm. Before this, someone had erupted with a powerful martial skill that covered the entire circle. The weaker ones had all been sent flying away, but this blue-robed youth still hadn't moved. As for this blue-robed youth, his cultivation wasn't high, and he should have just become a final-generation disciple candidate. Shouldn't such a person be the weakest? Even the second prince and the others stared at this blue-robed youth, some surprise on their faces. This blue-robed youth was Lin Ling. At this time, his combat strength was like a pine tree, like an immovable king. His mortal body was formidable, reaching a freakish level. If his opponent didn't dare to erupt with their full strength, they simply wouldn't be able to shake him. Of course, even if his opponent erupted with their full strength, Lin Ling could also erupt with his full strength and kill them all the same. Royal brother, that handsome and otherworldly youth is fiercer than we imagined. The beautiful young woman couldn't help but say. The second prince smiled and shook his head. Before this, because his cultivation was low, no one paid attention to him. But now that he is one of the remaining 10, there will be people who will attack him. And indeed, in the circle, there were people who attacked Lin Ling. Brat, I'm sorry, but you have been eliminated. Earthquake. A young man in a golden brocade robe said, without even looking at Lin Ling. A strange thing happened. The 10-meter-wide circle started to roll, uproot, and even hang upside down. Everyone was suspended in the air, and they felt the ground shaking, making their feet unstable. What a terrifying power of realm essence. His talent is related to the earth. The surrounding army was shocked. Pa! 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 3 people couldn't react in time and fell from the sky, eliminated. Now there were only 8 people left. Many people subconsciously looked at Lin Ling, and they were shocked to find that Lin Ling was upside down. But his feet seemed to have taken root, and he didn't move at all. Most importantly, he actually took out wine and drank it. Looking at the others, they all had serious expressions. Some were in a horse stance, some were sitting cross-legged, resisting the mysterious power of realm essence. Brother, look at him. At this moment, the beautiful young woman opened her mouth in shock. How could the youth with the lowest cultivation be so mysterious? The second prince beside him smiled bitterly. He couldn't explain it. Brat, take 3 of my punches. I will break your waist. A genius shouted angrily, and his fist smashed toward Lin Ling. Bang! 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 Realm essence suppressed in the fist landed heavily on Lin Ling's body, causing the circle to shake. Smoke filled the air, but Lin Ling was still safe and sound. The other party only used realm essence to kill him, and didn't use any martial arts. Lin Ling's godly demon body didn't fear such power at all. Get lost! Lin Ling looked up at the same time, and his legs swept out like a whip. He came here for only one purpose, and that was to get a spot. If others didn't provoke him, he couldn't be bothered. If others wanted to eliminate him, he would do it. Chapter 24:12. Towards the Imperial Tomb. Bang! The strength of over 5,000 worlds erupted. The youth that was kicked was sent flying backwards like a cannonball, shooting into the heavens before vanishing from the universe. This kick was terrifying. To kick someone into the universe, just what sort of strength was needed? And what was most terrifying was that even though Lin Ling had erupted with such strength, there wasn't even a speck of dust beneath his feet. Isn't this fellow at the third stage of the World King realm? How could he possibly block Sir Lu's kick? That kick contained the strength of 5 great world essences. The remaining people all looked at Lin Ling. They finally realized that Lin Ling was the most terrifying opponent. Eliminate him. Everyone subconsciously looked at Lin Ling, their eyes burning with unwillingness and anger. This was because Lin Ling was clearly a newcomer to Radiant Academy. But his strength was far greater than these geniuses that had cultivated for several hundred years. To them, this was a disgrace. Huh. Seeing this, Lin Ling shook his head. He wanted to test just how strong his defenses were, so he continued to drink. This was because even though his opponents attacked, they didn't dare to use any martial arts. They only used the strength of their world essences. He should be able to block this strength. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The 6 people attacked at the same time. Their world essences were extremely terrifying. As their world essences fell onto Lin Ling's body, there was a sound like muffled thunder. Moreover, their strength was too great, causing the circle to break apart. One by one, they fell down from the skies, their faces filled with regret. But when they looked up, they discovered that Lin Ling was still standing there like a pine tree. Moreover, he was slowly floating down. He was fine. That fellow was actually fine with the world essences of 6 people? Could it be that he had cultivated some powerful defensive martial arts? You have all been eliminated. Lin Ling looked at them and smiled. Those geniuses all dropped their jaws. But someone sneered. If the circle is destroyed, aren't you also eliminated? My apologies, but the soil beneath my feet is still the soil of the circle. However, Lin Ling smiled once more. Everyone discovered that from start to finish, Lin Ling's feet hadn't moved at all. He was still standing where he was at the start. Even though the circle was broken, the soil seemed to be sucked in by his feet, drifting down with him. This fellow. Everyone's hearts fiercely shook. Sometimes, a martial artist's destructive strength. This didn't mean that they were strong. What was truly fierce was a martial artist that had perfect control of their strength. For instance, a sword slashing falling leaves of falling leaves. That was a true martial arts skill. Moreover, they were so strong that they could shatter the circle in a single breath. Therefore, it was even more difficult to control their strength. This was the key to this elimination. Lin Ling's control of his strength had clearly surpassed all of them. The second prince hurriedly bowed. He knew that he had underestimated this blue-robed youth. The beautiful girl next to him was full of admiration. She hoped she could be as strong as the blue-robed young man. That's great. I'll go alone. These people are redundant anyway. Lin Ling nodded. He was in a hurry to complete the mission, so he didn't want any martial gods to waste everyone's time. The martial gods smiled wryly when they heard this. They wanted to refute, but they couldn't. After all, they were indeed eliminated. The second prince smiled wryly too. He bowed respectfully and said, "Let's stick to the previous conditions and leave 5 of you behind. What do you think?" It doesn't matter how many of them there are. They won't be able to withstand a single blow from an expert. Lin Ling shrugged indifferently. It wasn't that he looked down on them, but he felt they were still too weak to participate in the mission. However, when the martial god realm geniuses heard the truth, their faces reddened with anger. Won't be able to withstand a single blow? Isn't this young man too arrogant? They didn't know that Lin Ling's overall strength was enough to fight 3 generations at once. Moreover, Lin Ling was now the last generation. Therefore, he didn't think he was arrogant at all. Most importantly, the strongest of these people was only at the level of the falling flowers flowing water sword. They were indeed very weak. How about this? You will choose the remaining 4. The second prince shook his head helplessly and looked at Lin Ling again. Lin Ling smiled. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, he would follow the second prince's request. He glanced at the martial gods. They were furious at first, but now they were looking at Lin Ling with anticipation. Of course, Lin Ling didn't have time to waste. He randomly chose 4 people, called the second prince, and set off immediately. The 4 martial gods who were chosen were extremely lucky because they could complete the mission. Once they completed it, they would be the last generation of the academy. The army set off toward the imperial tombs in a mighty manner. Lin Ling and the second prince were in the same carriage. Lin Ling sat cross-legged and cultivated. He didn't want to waste too much time. The second prince looked at Lin Ling with a wry smile. He wanted to say something, but he was extremely respectful of Lin Ling. As for the beautiful girl, she was even more so. Although she sat upright and looked like an obedient child, her big eyes stared at Lin Ling curiously from time to time. Is there something wrong with my face? After an unknown period of time, Lin Ling finally opened his eyes and stared at the beautiful girl. No. The beautiful girl was shocked and kept waving her little hands. Senior, please forgive her. My royal sister is very curious about martial arts. It's a pity that her talent is limited, so she hasn't been able to step into a new realm. The second prince was afraid that his sister would offend Lin Ling and quickly tried to smooth things over. Lin Ling looked at them and felt as if he was looking at an old friend of the Heaven Mystics Kingdom. At that time, he also helped the second prince of the Heaven Mystics Kingdom seize the throne. Hence, the scene in front of him reminded him of his childhood. Actually, you don't have to be so serious. I didn't speak before because I wanted to seize the time to cultivate. It doesn't mean that I'm a difficult person to get along with. Lin Ling revealed a friendly smile, which made the second prince and the others less serious. What's your name? Then, Lin Ling looked at the beautiful girl and asked. Sun Yener. The beautiful girl didn't dare to raise her head to look at Lin Ling. She clasped her hands together and said nervously. Huh. Lin Ling couldn't help but laugh. This lass was rather shy and didn't have the willfulness of a princess. He nodded and said, After the mission is over, I'll help you improve your talent and guide you on a set of martial arts. Really? The beautiful girl was ecstatic. This time, she dared to stare at Lin Ling. She then asked with anticipation, How powerful will I be? More powerful than those people outside. This is an unchanging fact. Lin Ling said. At this moment, outside the carriage, the remaining 4 martial god prodigies were riding on their horses and protecting the carriage. When they heard Lin Ling's words, they all gritted their teeth. That blue-robed youth looked younger than them, but he acted like an old man, which made them very unhappy. Chapter 24:13. The realm-devouring beast. The army immediately came to a stop after hearing Lin Ling's voice, as if they were facing a formidable foe. In front of them was a huge, pitch-black forest. It was extremely quiet, so quiet that it caused them to hold their breaths. The darkness was terrifying. However, the silence lasted for quite some time, causing the 4 martial god realm geniuses to frown. They were quite nervous before, but they now realized that it was quite normal. This guy is just trying to trick us. One of the martial god realm geniuses said disdainfully. Even though Lin Ling was quite strong, he was still a rising star. The thought of them having to listen to Lin Ling's words was quite unpleasant. I think he's just bluffing. Let's move forward. Another person calmly said. It was a great opportunity for them to let the second prince know that Lin Ling was only SSO. Let's wait a little longer. Even though this Lin Ling is only a candidate for the last batch of disciples this year, his words still make sense. A woman was rather cautious. You're just a coward. Did you just lose to him because he's strong? We were only testing his control of the realm force. I admit that he's strong in that aspect, but he's no match against us in terms of realm force. The martial god realm genius who spoke at the beginning strode forward. However, as soon as he moved, whoosh, countless birds flew out from the woods ahead as if they were startled. The martial god realm genius halted in his tracks. Meanwhile, Lin Ling's calm voice could be heard from the carriage. Aren't you very strong? Go ahead. I guarantee that you won't live for more than the period it took an incense to burn. What? The martial god realm genius's eyes glittered. This Lin Ling was underestimating his strength. After all, he was the ruler of a realm. He could easily destroy a realm with his full strength. Let's see how I won't live for more than the period it took an incense to burn. Following this, the martial god realm genius continued to move forward. Rumble. At that instant, a rare phenomenon took place. The enormous woods ahead began to sink, and the ground began to sink too. A huge mouth appeared and began to devour the ground. At that instant, everyone was startled as their figures began to tremble. Such a huge mouth. That mouth seemed to want to devour this world. Moreover, the terrifying aura it emitted was extremely shocking. Go on. Let's see if you can survive the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. Meanwhile, Lin Ling's calm voice echoed, causing the martial god realm genius called Chu Tian to fall to the ground with a thud. His face was very pale. If it wasn't for Lin Ling's reminder, he would have been dead. Thank you, Chu Tian immediately said. The other martial god geniuses didn't dare to underestimate Lin Ling. One of the girls asked, "What is this?" They all sensed that the huge mouth could easily swallow them. World-swallowing beast. At this moment, the carriage came to a stop. Lin Ling stood in front of the carriage and said indifferently, "Realm-swallowing beast? What is that?" "Strange, with our strength, we can easily destroy a world, but that terrifying mouth gives us a terrifying feeling." Among the four, an older and more composed youth looked at Lin Ling and said, "Born in the chaos of the universe, it is a strange object of heaven and earth that can swallow a world. This is an immature body, so it hasn't reached a terrifying level yet." Lin Ling said indifferently. Then he waved his hand and said, "Let the army take a detour." World swallowing. This time, the four martial god geniuses' expressions changed drastically. Moreover, they finally remembered this ancient object. According to legend, this terrifying object was condensed by the chi of the universe. Once it appeared, it would wipe out all living beings. It had appeared once in the ancient era. At that time, it had swallowed more than 3,000 worlds, causing the martial god world to be mighty. This incident was also recorded in the history books. Unfortunately, this world-swallowing beast was too rare, so not many people knew about it. They couldn't help but look at Lin Ling. Lin Ling was younger than them, but he knew about these ancient secrets. "Sir, you must be this year's assessment disciple of the Resplendent Academy, right?" the woman asked with a smile. Her smile was quite beautiful. Lin Ling didn't understand why she asked this. He nodded and said, "Yes, I passed the assessment not long ago." Their hearts jerked when they heard this. Now that they thought about it, Lin Ling was their junior brother, but this junior brother was too miraculous. "However, although I passed the assessment, I am not considered a candidate of the last generation." "I am already a candidate of the last generation," Lin Ling said. He didn't hide anything. After all, Qing province was very big. After these martial god geniuses met this time, it would be difficult to meet them again. "That's fine. Aren't you only a candidate of the last generation after passing the assessment?" The four people were even more surprised. After all, they were still candidates of the last generation. In order to remove the word candidate, they had worked hard for 100 years. "Idiot, is junior brother Lin Ling an exception?" the beautiful woman suddenly said. The other three people were stunned and nodded. When they looked at Lin Ling again, they were even more in awe. The last generation of the Resplendent Academy was someone they could only look up to. "Junior brother Lin Ling, no, senior brother Lin Ling, how did you detect the world-swallowing beast before?" the more calm young man asked. Lin Ling's soul power was huge. In addition to his 10,000 elephant demonic eyes and his knowledge, he could naturally detect the changes in the earth. However, he would definitely not tell this secret. He smiled and said, "The world-swallowing beast roams around the universe, but when it suddenly appears on the earth, there will be fluctuations in the void. Just pay attention to the fluctuations in the void." Amazing, the four people said at the same time. They certainly understood this principle, but wanting to do so was difficult. They had to be alert to the slightest movement in the earth. After all, even if they could sense the changes in the earth, it would be too late. They would have been swallowed up. They needed to be aware of the fluctuations in the void. "All right, let's prepare to set off." However, with the appearance of the world-swallowing beast, there are also the Reaper aphids. These are the world-swallowing beast's companion beasts. We must be careful when facing them. Lin Ling looked into the distance and lightly said. At the same time, ancient black elephants began to crawl out from the sinking earth. These ancient elephants were as large as small mountains, but if one looked carefully, they weren't ancient elephants at all. Rather, they were masses of black sludge. These were the Reaper aphids. There were over a dozen of these black aphids. After they crawled out, they began to eat people. The army immediately retreated. The second prince and the others were pale with fright. They could only look at Lin Ling's group of 5. It looks like they are only at the first level of the World King realm. Luckily, they aren't too difficult. Let me do it. World King's 7 directional fingers. The calm young man faintly smiled. He pointed out a finger. Blue light bloomed and the void exploded. A finger shot forward at high speed. Senior apprentice brother Lu. What a fierce World King's 7 directional fingers. The others couldn't help but praise. The latter was at the 5th level of the World King realm, but within this boundary he was still an extremely formidable existence. However, this martial art that could break through a world actually fell upon the black aphids. It only caused them to pause for a moment. What? Senior apprentice brother Lu felt disbelief. Were these aphids even more formidable than a world? Chapter 24:14. Imperial Tomb, Scorpio constellation. At this time, the Earth was constantly sinking. That giant mouth seemed to swallow everything. If they didn't deal with these black aphids soon, the army would be in danger. Attack! The others erupted with their ultimate skills, as if the ruler of a world had arrived. Pop, pop, pop. Waves of energy rolled out from the Earth, as if the heavens and Earth were falling apart. Beneath this all-out attack, the black aphids died one by one, turning into a puddle of mud. Are these really aphids? They're simply giant beasts. Luckily, we have these martial god geniuses. The army behind them exclaimed in surprise. The 4 martial god geniuses couldn't help but laugh. They were finally in the limelight for once. They're too slow. However, just as they were laughing, Lin Ling poured cold water on them. This caused the 4 martial god geniuses to be unwilling. The youth called Chu Tian frowned. These death god aphids have extremely strong defenses. We've already used a low 2nd grade martial skill. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to break through them. His words were mixed with unwillingness. He thought that Lin Ling's words were too simple. Lin Ling shook his head, not explaining. He shot forwards like a swallow. In the air, he drew his ancient sword and slashed down at the last death god aphid. A single sword cannot cut down these aphids. Seeing this, the martial god geniuses shook their heads. However, a miracle occurred. Lin Ling's world essence didn't use any martial arts. It was only an ordinary 3rd stage World King realm world essence. However, under this sword strike, the aphid trembled and was split in half. With this, the 4 martial god geniuses' pupils shrank. The army sucked in a breath of cold air. Lin Ling drew back his sword and floated in the air. These aphids have a surface like mud, but they also have flaws. If I can find a still and motionless piece of mud, then I can kill them in a single strike without using any martial skills. How is this possible? The delicate woman cried out in alarm. This was because the mud on the surface of the aphids was constantly flowing. It was impossible to find a motionless one. Thus, she couldn't help but be surprised. She even thought that although Lin Ling looked young and delicate on the surface, there was a 10,000-year-old monster hidden in his heart. Otherwise, how could he be so abnormal? Let's go. Lin Ling didn't say anything more. He turned around and left. The 4 martial god geniuses looked at Lin Ling's back with even more reverence. The army took a detour and headed in another direction. Inside the carriage, the 2nd prince and the beautiful girl looked at Lin Ling in awe. They never thought that Lin Ling, who was the youngest, would surpass the other martial gods in every aspect. Big brother, why are you so powerful? Are all martial artists so respected? The beautiful girl noticed that Lin Ling was easy to talk to, so she wasn't so restrained. Looking at the young girl, Lin Ling thought of his son, Lin Yi. He also thought of the fire spirit princess. He smiled and said, learning martial arts may seem glorious, but in fact, it is accompanied by many dangers. If one is not careful, it is very common for one's soul to dissipate. So sometimes it is better to be immortal. Since Big Brother is so strong, he must have experienced many disasters. The beautiful girl asked. Lin Ling nodded. Indeed, he had experienced many life and death situations in his life. There was no end to it. Others saw that he was strong and yearned for his life of being respected, but who knew that he had worked hard behind the scenes. Little Yen, it is fate that we met. I will teach you a set of cultivation techniques. Moreover, I have a martial god fruit that can change your talent. With that cultivation technique, you should be able to reach the strength of a realm lord in the future. Then Lin Ling looked at the beautiful girl and said. The beautiful girl was stunned and extremely excited. Why aren't you thanking Senior Lin Ling? The 2nd prince beside her knew that his sister's luck had come. She had met a benefactor. Disciple greets master. The beautiful girl reacted and hurriedly knelt down. Lin Ling shook his head helplessly. He was just giving her some pointers. He couldn't say that he was a master. He immediately helped the girl up. The beautiful girl looked at Lin Ling with even more admiration. She had truly met a benefactor. As for the four martial god geniuses outside the carriage, their eyes flashed. After knowing each other, they felt that Lin Ling was unfathomably deep. He was clearly at the third stage of the World King realm, but the feeling he gave off wasn't so. If we ask him for some pointers, do you think he will agree? That would be too shameful. After all, he is younger than us. If you don't ask, I will. Who says I won't ask? I just happen to have some doubts about my current martial arts. I hope he can give me some pointers. Imperial Tomb, Scorpio Constellation. This was the goal of the army. A day later, the army arrived at the Imperial Tomb. The dragon energy here was extremely rich. Ancient buildings covered the entire mountain range. It was quiet and quiet, giving off an extremely mysterious feeling. We've arrived. The second prince waved his hand and the army stopped. Then, a guard held up the imperial jade seal and carefully knelt down. In front of them was a giant altar. Imperial incense wafted through the air, as if the sound of an emperor was drifting through the air. The entire army, tens of millions of people, all knelt down in unison. Now was the time for the second prince to offer a sacrifice to the heavens and announce it to the world. At this moment, the second prince was wearing a neat dragon robe. He took the imperial jade seal and walked towards the altar. Throughout the entire process, his face was extremely solemn. Lin Ling and the rest stood calmly. Naturally, they would not kneel. However, just as the second prince was about to offer his sacrifice, Lin Ling's eyes flickered. Then a cold smile appeared on his face. Smoke drifted out of the cave in front of them. A large number of soldiers in black armor appeared. Their bodies were filled with dense demonic energy. Sun Yaoyang, how have you been? A cold yell could be heard. A middle-aged man in a long black robe appeared in the distance. He held a huge saber that was taller than a person and walked over step by step. Bang! 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 Following his footsteps, the ground shook. Great General Tuoshue? The second prince's expression changed drastically. He obviously knew that middle-aged man. Hand over the imperial jade seal. The emperor of this world can only be the crown prince. The middle-aged man in the black robe sneered. His body was filled with smoke, and he looked even more demonic. Big brother, those are the crown prince's men. At this moment, the beautiful girl on the other side said to Lin Ling. Lin Ling nodded. This was not the first time he had seen something like this. When the throne changed, there would definitely be other crown princes competing for it. It was no wonder that he had not seen other crown princes since he came here. Hand over the imperial jade seal. The sinister middle-aged man shouted again. He looked at the beautiful girl with a sinister gaze. Princess, this time, you have finally fallen into my hands. His gaze caused the beautiful girl to tremble. She subconsciously hid behind Lin Ling. The sinister middle-aged man only glanced at Lin Ling and the rest. Then, he ignored them and raised the huge saber in his hand. Kill! The surrounding black-armored soldiers charged forward like a demonic army. The demonic energy formed a huge demonic scorpion. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws. It was extremely terrifying. Kill! The second prince's army also charged forward. Chapter 24:15. Battle Tumor Water General, unable to withstand a single blow. Sun Yaoyang, you don't have the qualifications to call yourself king. The black-armored middle-aged man advanced once more, his expression icy cold. As for the second prince, he looked at the middle-aged man, and then at his own army. His complexion became even more dignified. This was because his army was beginning to retreat in defeat. He had long heard that the crown prince had turned into a monster. Now that he saw it, it was true. If you follow the crown prince, do you want to become neither a human nor a monster? The second prince angrily shouted. Die! You speak too much nonsense. The black-armored middle-aged man disdained to speak further. He grasped his saber and threw himself at the second prince. Along the way, his monster energy soared into the heavens, and a giant black scorpion appeared behind him. This scorpion's tail burned with a demonic green flame. It raised it high, wanting to kill the second prince. In your dreams. At this time, Chu Tian and the others attacked. The strength of a fifth-level world king completely erupted. Unable to withstand a single blow. However, the black-armored middle-aged man stopped. Then he stomped on the ground, causing it to crack open. Bang! A terrifying shockwave erupted. Green monster flames splashed out in all directions. Puff! Chu Tian and the others immediately spat out a mouthful of blood and were sent flying backwards. The delicate young woman cried out in alarm. 6th stage World King realm? Moreover, his talent is at least 9th grade. Another person shouted out. Then they all crashed to the ground. It was clear that they were not the black-armored middle-aged man's match. After all, this black-armored middle-aged man's boundary was higher than theirs and his talent was greater. How could they be his match? I already knew that someone from Martial God World would come to help. Unfortunately, this person is too useless. Second Prince, you can die now. The black-armored middle-aged man coldly shouted and threw himself at the Second Prince once more. As for Chu Tian and the others, their complexions changed. They wanted to crawl up, but they discovered that the monster flames on their bodies continued to burn them, making it impossible for them to stand. These monster flames were a bit strange. Royal brother, the beautiful young woman cried out in worry. However, she didn't discover that Lin Ling had already disappeared. A sword appeared in the sky, and in the next moment he arrived in front of the Second Prince. Clang! A sword stabbed out. Dragon painting finishing touch. At the same time, the black-armored middle-aged man's saber slashed out. Monster flames roared around it, but it was evenly matched with Lin Ling's sword. Seeing this, the Second Prince's expression changed drastically. He didn't die. The black-armored man's complexion changed. Before this, he had already seen this blue-robed youth, but he could sense that this blue-robed youth was only at the 3rd level of the World King realm and was weaker than the other 4. Thus he hadn't placed him in his eyes. However, he now realized that this young man was the strongest among them. Who are you? The black-armored middle-aged man said coldly. At this moment, Lin Ling gripped his sword and said calmly, the last generation of Resplendent Academy, Lin Ling. Last generation disciple. The black-armored man's pupils constricted, and an imperceptible trace of fear flickered in his eyes. But soon, when he saw that Lin Ling was alone, his expression became calm. You want to save them all by yourself? It's enough. Lin Ling smiled faintly. His calm demeanor raised the morale of the Second Prince's army. Currently, Lin Ling was the most mysterious martial god genius on their side. If Lin Ling couldn't block this enemy, then they would all be annihilated. Haha, boy, you haven't been weaned off milk yet, have you? If the Resplendent Academy had sent out other martial god geniuses, then I, Great General Tua Shui, might have feared them a little. But you are by yourself. Just who do you think you are? I can see that your cultivation is only at the 3rd level of the World King realm. The black-armored middle-aged man laughed heartily. Hearing this, the 4 martial god geniuses' complexions darkened. The black-armored man wasn't wrong. Although Lin Ling was stronger than them, his opponent was at the 6th level of the World King realm. Moreover, his monster flames were extremely strange. Lin Ling didn't seem to have any hope of winning. At this moment, the hope that had just risen in everyone's hearts dimmed once more. Haha, do you see that? They don't have any confidence in you. But you are also quite pitiful. It's rare for you to go out adventuring, but you ended up encountering a powerhouse like me. The 6th level of the World King realm. That is a goal you will never surpass. Haha. The black-armored man laughed. His world essence surged and his saber ruthlessly slashed down at Lin Ling. Monster flames followed his saber, like a poisonous scorpion's stinger. This sort of fire was not only hot but also poisonous. If one was struck by it, they would lose the ability to fight, just like the 4 martial god geniuses from before. Demonic flame saber. Haha. Like a monster flame burning the plains, the entire imperial tomb was filled with monster flames. The 2 armies stopped fighting. The Second Prince's army was all worried. The black-armored monster army sneered, extremely confident. Beneath all eyes, Lin Ling's complexion remained calm. His handsome face revealed a taunting smile. Is the 6th level of the World King realm so arrogant? It's not like you haven't fought before. Fire, come out. Haha. His voice was icy cold. He stretched out his left palm and multicolored flames leapt about. As he waved his hand, it was like he had ignited the most ancient flame of the universe. Bang! The multicolored flames erupted, crazily burning. As the strange monster flames approached, they were all extinguished, leaving behind only the multicolored flames. Within the flames, Lin Ling walked out, step by step, like a dazzling god of flames. At this moment, everyone's breathing stopped. Their eyes widened in disbelief. His talent seems to be a ninth-grade profound body. Sigh. The four martial god geniuses' pupils fiercely trembled. They didn't think that besides being mysterious, Lin Ling's talent was also so terrifying. However, Lin Ling was the last generation disciple that Resplendent Academy had made an exception to recruit. He must have his own unique points. At this moment, all of them came to their senses. Pa pa pa. The dazzling flames continued to burn. The temperature around the imperial tomb rose by a great deal. Everyone was silent. But a moment later, a faint laughter sounded out. You have some strength. You were actually able to block my talent. With this strength, you can be considered a martial god genius. Unfortunately, you met me. No matter how much of a genius you are still a dead man. After all, although our talents are the same, my boundary is higher than yours. Could it be that you want to jump 3 levels to fight? On the other side, the black-armored middle-aged man appeared, staring at Lin Ling and said indifferently. Lin Ling walked out from the dazzling flames and pulled out the ancient sword on his back. His eyes were filled with mockery. Sorry, I was planning to do that. Sorry. He didn't say anything. The ancient sword in his hand exploded with flames. The flames continued to condense, forming a crescent moon slash that slashed forward. This slash seemed to be able to sever 10 realms. At this moment, he had secretly merged the boundary spirits in his 2 dantian, reaching the 6th level of boundary origin realm. Moreover, he had suppressed time and space within. In this way, his boundary was no weaker than his opponent's. His talent was no weaker than his opponent's. What was there to fear? Bang! Space and time seemed to have been severed. The black-armored middle-aged man's expression changed. What a powerful boundary energy. Bang! The broadsword in his hand slashed forward. Chapter 24:16. Entering the Imperial Tomb Polypola. Countless demonic flames appeared, condensing into giant poisonous scorpions that rushed towards Lin Ling's sword. Unfortunately, the black-armored man had underestimated Lin Ling's boundary. He thought that Lin Ling was only at the 3rd stage of the World King realm. But what he didn't know was that Lin Ling's boundary was no weaker than his own. In fact, Lin Ling was even a level higher. Bang! A deafening sound filled the air. The poisonous scorpions were all cut apart, and the green flames vanished. As for the crescent moon light, it continued onwards, cutting straight towards the black-armored man. What? The black-armored man's complexion changed. Where was his high and lofty demeanor from before? He grasped the saber in his hand and condensed all of his world essence into a slash. Only then was he barely able to cut apart the crescent moonlight. His blood tumbled and his face paled. Lin Ling stepped forwards, his expression indifferent. Aren't you a high and lofty 6th-stage world king? Why are you in such a distressed state? I thought that His Majesty the Crown Prince's men were some sort of powerhouse. But now it seems that they are nothing more than mediocre. Lin Ming's words were thick with ridicule, causing the black-armored man to feel humiliated. His eyes filled with anger. The surroundings became even more silent. In particular, the 4 martial god geniuses. At this moment, they felt as if they had seen some sort of miracle. After all, Lin Ling had jumped 3 levels to fight. Even in their academy, this was an extremely rare sight. I'll kill you! Exclamation point. The black-armored man shouted out loud. His aura erupted from his body, wild and tyrannical. His waist bent and many tumors grew out from his back. These tumors flowed with a fishy smell. As the water fell to the ground, it turned into demonic flames. This was his innate mystic body talent, the flame scorpion celestial body. It was said that this talent came from an extremely distant world and was left behind by a demon scorpion martial artist who had transformed into a human. This demon scorpion had once slaughtered 100 worlds in a single move. Seeing this, many people were shocked. They were all startled. This great General Tuan Shui was too fierce. Beneath the black-armored man's aura, the earth constantly shook. He was even more terrifying than the ruler of a world. Are you afraid now? I didn't use my true strength, so you could be arrogant for a moment. But now that I have used the flame scorpion celestial body, you can die proud. The black-armored middle-aged man's voice was extremely low and deep, shaking many people's eardrums to the point of pain, making them even more fearful. You talk a bit too much nonsense. I just want to say, were you the only one who didn't use your true strength earlier? Lin Ling's expression was still calm. He could see that the other party had already demonized. A powerful martial artist had changed his innate talent, giving him a demonic aura. Therefore, the tyrannical song in his hand trembled, and the sword emitted an ear-piercing sound, becoming even more dazzling. After that, Lin Ling ceaselessly swung his sword as if he was holding a brush and painting, and wisps of a mysterious aura effused out from him. This was the last level of the Black Sword record, Black Sword. This was the sword of the Sword Emperor. What a terrifying power. Even on our side, we can feel the pressure. Our weapons are trembling. This martial god genius was actually hiding a trump card when facing the luminous water great general. Everyone in the second prince's army cried out in surprise. They just realized that the young man had said that he alone was enough to protect the second prince. And that was indeed the case. Trying to be mysterious, let me tear you apart. The middle-aged man in black armor stared at the sword in Lin Ling's hand, and a feeling of unease rose in his heart. He knew that he could not let this young man use his sword again, or the situation would become very troublesome. Whoosh! He pounced over at lightning speed, leaving behind a fishy demonic fire wherever he passed. In the next moment, he appeared in front of Lin Ling and slammed his palm heavily. If he hit, Lin Ling would probably be smashed to pieces. Papa! The entire rising sun boundary was in turmoil at this moment. However, Lin Ling seemed to have not heard it and continued to swing his sword. When the middle-aged man's huge palm was right in front of him, his pupils constricted. Thousands of sword moves had finally merged into a single sword. The aura of the ultimate sword Dao swept out in a mighty manner. Black sword. Rumble. The huge black sword slashed out, and the battle aura, killing intent, and sword aura were extremely terrifying. A burly giant appeared behind Lin Ling. It was the Sword Emperor. In fact, this was the first time that Lin Ling had used this sword move. A third-grade origin world martial art. The middle-aged man in black armor finally realized just how terrifying this sword move was. He never imagined that this third-stage world king youth would not only have a fierce origin world martial art and talent, but even his martial arts were so fierce. No! Roar! The middle-aged man roared. His palm was cut off by the black sword and his body was cut into pieces, falling to the ground like rocks. Moreover, the giant black sword didn't stop. It was like the sword of a death god, passing through the black-armored army and causing countless monsters to die. Finally, the sword pierced through the ancient walls of the imperial tomb, leaving behind a clear black character. Then it gradually disappeared into the distant skies. All around, there was a deathly silence. After a moment, gasps of surprise sounded out. The morale of the second prince's army was greatly boosted. The remaining black-armored soldiers were panic-stricken. They never imagined that an ordinary-looking youth would be able to ruin their scheme. Retreat! It wasn't known who shouted this, but the monster army retreated. They ran towards the walls of the imperial tomb, disappearing into them. Seeing this, the second prince and the others finally let out a sigh of relief. Thank you, thank you. The second prince was extremely grateful. Bowing towards Lin Ling put away his sword. He smiled and waved his hand. This is my mission to begin with. Your Majesty Second Prince, you should hurry up and offer your sacrifice to the heavens. Okay. With Lin Ling by his side, the imperial jade seal offering sacrifice to the heavens went much smoother. After the sacrifice to the heavens ended, Lin Ling could clearly feel that there was a mysterious aura around the second prince, protecting him. This was a universal dragon aura. Lin Ling had seen it not too long ago when he was a carp leaping over the dragon gate. It seemed that this second prince's ancestors were related to dragons. Senior apprentice brother Lin Ling, fierce. Chu Tian and the others also walked over, all of them praising him. I was just lucky. Lin Ling casually smiled. He had fought with the third-generation disciples, the 36 world kings, and the latter were at the 7th stage of the world king realm. There was no need to mention this great general Tuashue. Our mission has finally been completed. Then, Chu Tian and the others revealed relaxed expressions. Although the mission was mainly completed by Lin Ling, they could still return and report on their mission. It was even possible for them to become last-generation disciples. Good, then we'll take our leave. Lin Ling didn't want to stay any longer, because his mission was different. That was to kill Blazing Lip World King. Then, he bid farewell to the second prince and looked towards the walls of the imperial tomb. Then he walked over. There was a crack in the wall, and Lin Ling followed it. As for the second prince and the beautiful young girl, they looked at Lin Ling, their eyes filled with excitement. Lin Ling was their benefactor. The monster energy in the imperial tomb is very thick. Perhaps Blazing Lip World King is inside. Are we going to kill him? If we can kill him, the Academy's rewards will be even better. With just us, there's no need to even think about it. The previous great general almost killed us, much less Blazing Lip World King. Let's go back. Chapter 24:17. Evil Flame God 6 Transformations. After all, Lin Ling was someone who could jump 3 levels to fight. At this time, Lin Ling followed the crack. This was an ancient cave with statues placed all around. They seemed to be statues of evil gods. They should have been built by the second prince's ancestors. As he continued forwards, Lin Ling saw many giant imperial tombs. These were probably the tombs of the Sun family's past emperors. Not bothering with them, Lin Ling looked for another passage and continued forwards. Ka. When he entered the next hall, he saw many coffins placed within. These coffins seemed to sense life. At this time, all of their lids were pushed open. Then, one after another, tall figures climbed out of the coffins. These were tomb guardians. In their previous life, they had been formidable martial artists. After their deaths, they had been refined with a secret technique, leaving behind their formidable strength. This was a type of zombie that was even more formidable than a golden zombie. Unfortunately, Lin Ling didn't even glance at them. He continued forwards and punched out, the strength of his divinity and demon body erupting. Get out of my way! A fist that could topple mountains and overturn seas swept out, overturning a massive number of zombies. And Lin Ling was in this group of zombies, leisurely walking forwards. If the second prince and the others were here, they would definitely be shocked. This was because these were the ancestral guards of their Sun family. Each one of them was an existence comparable to a world king. This Sun family's background isn't small at all. No wonder Resplendent Academy wants to help them. Lin Ling said as he looked at the paintings on the walls. These paintings recorded the deeds of the Sun family from one generation to the next. A long time ago, a powerhouse had been born from the Sun family. This powerhouse was an extremely famous existence in martial god world. Later, he perished. The great Azure Divine Dynasty remembered his hard work, and thus decided to protect the Sun family for generations. There are many martial arts recorded here. They should have been left behind by the Sun family's ancestor. Unfortunately, they are useless to me. Lin Ling looked around and then shook his head. But soon his eyes brightened. On the left side of the wall, there was a statue. This statue had 3 heads and 6 arms. It had sharp fangs and angry eyes, giving off a ferocious feeling. Each of its 6 arms was holding an ancient book. Most importantly, this book was burning with flames. With just a glance, Lin Ling knew that this book was extraordinary. He quickly waved his left hand, and the book floated over. There were several large words written on the book. Evil Flame God 6 Transformations. This was a boundary origin martial art. Its grade was unknown, but it was definitely not weaker than the 3rd grade. Its cultivation method was extremely strange. It was burning its world essence. Burn world origin. World origin world origin world 9 transformations trans world origin. Those who ignited their realm essence did not have to die. The after effect was that they would not be able to use their realm essence for a short period of time. World origin transformations, trans 6 transformations, 5 transformations trans world. It had 6 transformations. Evil Flame transformation, Heaven Shocking transformation, Wind and Cloud transformation, Heaven and Earth transformation, and Heaven and Earth transformation. With every breakthrough in realm, the amount of energy required to burn the world essence would increase by 2-fold. Of course, the time required would also decrease by 2-fold. Its advantage was that after using it, the martial artist would only be exhausted and would not die. This cultivation method suits me very well. Lin Ling couldn't help but be overjoyed. He just happened to be lacking a fire tribute realm source martial art. Who knew that when he dozed off, the heavens would send him a pillow? It seemed that his luck wasn't that bad after all. This trip is worth it just based on this martial art. Lin Ling hurriedly opened the book, and the 10,000 mammoths' demonic eyes appeared. With a retentive memory, he easily learned how to cultivate it. Then, he placed the book back on the statue and sat down cross-legged. This martial art seemed powerful, but the conditions to cultivate it were very high. The first condition was to awaken the divine body. Awaken divine physique was a talent of a higher level than Xian physique. My time and space divine steel is a 9th level Xian body. Although I can't cultivate the evil flame god's 6th transformation successfully, the first transformation shouldn't be too difficult. Lin Ling smiled. The 10,000 mammoth's demonic eyes appeared, and he continued to comprehend. Time quietly passed like this. After an unknown period of time, Lin Ling stood up, a smile on his face. He had successfully cultivated the first transformation, the evil god transformation. If he burned the realm essence in his 2 dantians, he could easily battle a 7th stage world king, and even kill him. With this martial art in my hands, the power it can display surpasses that of others. The 36 world kings are very unlucky. The current me is no weaker than you. Lin Ling stood up and continued forwards. Because he had 2 dantians, when he burned his realm essence, his power would be much greater than others. And this was the advantage of the chaos divine formula. Following the cave, Lin Ling continued upwards. What surprised him was that he had arrived at the highest peak of the Imperial Mausoleum. The aura here was even greater, and the dragon aura was vast and mighty. Moreover, there was a massive black palace at the summit. There was a massive amount of black-armored monster soldiers all around, and from time to time, powerful martial artists would land on the summit. Why did Flaming Lip World King invite us here? These martial artists didn't seem to be from the Rising Sun world, but they were all either monsters or demons. Their auras caused one's heart to palpitate. This Flaming Lip World King isn't from this world, but he seems to have seized His Majesty the Crown Prince's mortal body and is using it to stir up trouble. Lin Ling walked out of the cave, faintly looking at the Black Palace. Then he shook his head and waved his right hand. A black cloak covered his body, and he slowly walked towards the Black Palace. I heard that Flaming Lip World King wants to refine the Flaming Lip bead and asked us to come help him. Flaming Lip World King's vision isn't bad. He's actually bitterly cultivating in this world. This world has a long history, but the martial artists here aren't too strong. He must have found many treasures here. However, this world is protected by the Great Azure Divine Dynasty. It's best if we be careful. The Great Azure Divine Dynasty is nothing. No matter how many people come, I will kill them all. As they walked forward, the surrounding martial artists all spoke with indifference. They were clearly rogue cultivators from the myriad worlds. Lin Ling followed the crowd. Under the cloak, his lips curled into a sneer. He had come here to find Flaming Lip World King, so he had disguised himself and entered. Sir, don't you think so? The nearby martial artists who cultivated the demonic path, and the demonic path couldn't sense Lin Ling at all. An extremely fierce-looking martial artist laughed at Lin Ling near right. The Great Azure Divine Dynasty is nothing. Lin Ling's voice was cold as he lightly replied. Haha, great minds think alike. The martial artist still didn't know that Lin Ling had come here to kill Flaming Lip World King. I heard that Great General Tua Shui was killed right below the Imperial Tomb. If Flaming Lip World King hadn't reached a critical moment in his cultivation, he would have already attacked. Great General Tua Shui was also killed? His strength is extremely great. It's the martial god geniuses of the 3 great academies. As they continued forward, they saw many armored warriors in front of them coldly speaking. How bold! As long as Flaming Lip World King says a single word, I will immediately take action for him. Don't worry, you will have a chance because Flaming Lip World King will use the Flaming Lip bead to find the murderer's whereabouts. Good, I want to be the first to kill the murderer. The crowd soon arrived at the main hall. In front of the main hall, a tall man was sitting there. This person's entire body was covered in darkness, and it was impossible to see his appearance. However, strange flames burned on the surface of his body, as if he were a flame god. Chapter 24:18. I'm the murderer. Since everyone is here, that's good. But before I refine the Flaming Lip bead, I need to find those murderers, especially the one who killed my Tua Shui great general. I want to swallow him alive. The man let out a fiendish voice. He stretched out his hands and a mysterious bead appeared. A barrier floated out as if it was searching for something. TSK, the Flaming Lip World King is right. Once we find the murderer, we will swallow him alive. These martial god geniuses of the Azure Province's 3 great academies are too arrogant. They think they can do whatever they want just because they have a bit of strength. They don't know that we have tempered ourselves in the myriad worlds and defeated countless powerhouses. When did it become the turn of those fledgling juniors to be so arrogant? The other martial artists snickered. With a single glance, one could tell that they were demon kings of the myriad worlds, Fey emperors. Then, they quietly waited for the results. Because the Tua Shui Great General was created by the Flaming Lip World King, he possessed the Flaming Lip World King's demonic flames. Thus, the Flaming Lip Bead could find out who killed the Tua Shui Great General. But in the next moment, the man let out a cry of surprise. Then the murderer is here? The hall immediately fell silent. Everyone's eyes widened as they looked at each other in disbelief. Because they were looking for the murderer, and the murderer was here? What a joke. Flaming Lip World King, your Flaming Lip Bead shouldn't have made a mistake, right? A Fey Emperor laughed. Hearing this, the Flaming Lip World King fell silent. In truth, he was also puzzled about this point. But the Flaming Lip Bead shouldn't have made a mistake. The Flaming Lip Bead didn't make a mistake. As everyone was puzzled, an indifferent voice floated out. The hall became even more silent. Who is it? A martial artist with surging demonic energy roared. His gaze turned to a corner where a cloaked man was sitting. He was holding wine and drinking it in a drunken manner. He knew that it was the cloaked man who had spoken. In front of the Flaming Lip World King, when did it become your turn to speak? The martial artist's body exploded, turning into a demon that attacked the cloaked man. Woo-woo. It was like a large demonic cloud was dancing in the air. Impudent, the other martial artists coldly said. Pah! However, as soon as that cultivator approached the cloaked figure, an arm stretched out from within the cloak and suddenly grabbed the huge ball of Devil Cloud. Moreover, a short moment later, the Devil Cloud revealed its true form, and its true form was firmly held by the neck as well. A nest of snakes and rats. Looks like you're not a good person either. The cloaked man muttered to himself as he exerted a little force with his arm. With a bang, the devil's neck was crushed. However, the devil immediately turned into a wisp of soul and fled with a cry of alarm. However, could he escape? Just as the soul was about to move, the arm reached out once more. After grabbing hold of the soul, the arm tightened its grip. A ferocious voice rang out, and that soul was also scared out of its wits. Seeing this, the entire hall exclaimed in surprise. This was because that martial artist had been at the 3rd level of the World King realm and had possessed the undying demonic monster body. He had been chased down by countless powerhouses, but had managed to come out unscathed. Who would have thought that he would die here today? Who is the cloaked man? I am the murderer you speak of. At the same time, the cloaked man slowly took off the brim of his hat, revealing a clean and handsome face. It's you. How bold of you. I haven't even looked for you, and you've already delivered yourself to my doorstep. Flaming Lip World King was stunned. A tyrannical aura exuded from his body. Monster flames roared, causing a giant vortex to appear in the skies. Everyone was startled by Night Heavenly Demon's strength. As for the cloaked man, he was Lin Ling. At this time, his complexion was calm. He lightly said, I came here to take your life. Arrogant. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This youth had killed Great General Tua Shui, and not only hadn't he run away, but he had delivered himself to their doorstep. Did he want to use his own strength to kill Flaming Lip World King? This youth thought too highly of himself. 3rd level of the World King realm, I don't know how you killed Great General Tua Shui, but since you have come here, you cannot leave alive. Flaming Lip World King's voice was icy cold. He sat there motionless, but he was like a great monster king emperor. His strength was at the 7th level of the World King realm, so he naturally didn't fear Lin Ling. You cultivated the method of seizing the body of His Majesty the Crown Prince, and even managed to steal away His Majesty the Crown Prince's body and stir up havoc in Rising Sun World. I thought you were some great figure, but it turns out you were just a little monster. However, you are still just a little monster. Lin Ling remained indifferent. He pulled out his ancient sword. On the blade, multicolored flames began to burn. It was extremely dazzling, causing everyone to subconsciously close their eyes. This light was too bright. Moreover, it turned into a dazzling, profound character. It was a startling sight. Whoosh! A slash cut towards Flaming Lip World King. This was a dazzling slash of fire. On the surface, besides being dazzling, it didn't seem too strong. Is this your confidence? Flaming Lip World King lightly said. He was surprised that Lin Ling had seen through his true body, but he didn't place this sword in his eyes. This youth was young, and his cultivation was only at the 3rd level of the World King realm. What was there to fear? Flaming Lip. Roar! Flaming Lip World King's entire body began to roar with flames, turning him into a half-scorpion, half-human monster. His 2 arms also turned into giant scorpion pincers. This was Flaming Lip World King's innate mystic body, Flaming Lip Demon Scorpion King. This was an extremely ancient mystic body. It could allow 1,000,000 martial artists to transform into a monster. Great General Tuan Shui had been transformed by him. Whoosh! However, the sword slash still cut towards Flaming Lip World King. The giant profound character was a startling sight. Many people sneered. This sword light was nothing more than the light of a firefly. It would soon be incinerated to nothing by Flaming Lip World King. However, a sudden change occurred. The sword seemed ordinary, but it was actually unstoppable. It carried with it the aura of an ancient sword sovereign. As it slashed into Flaming Lip World King's body, it actually extinguished the demonic flames on his body. Looking carefully, one could see that on his chest, a giant profound character had appeared, as if it had been carved into his body. What sword is that? Flaming Lip World King's panic-stricken voice rang out. This was too terrifying. In his opinion, if this youth could kill Great General Tuan Shui, then he must be strong enough to jump realms to fight. But to fight someone at the 4th rank, this was simply impossible. But reality told him that anything was possible. How could he know that Lin Ling's sword had suppressed the world essence of 2 Dantians? In addition, the wisp of chaos energy from his Omega Sword Dao and the tyrannical power of the flames of time and space was also present. To be able to threaten a 7th stage World King wasn't difficult at all. Puff! Flaming Lip World King spat out a mouthful of blood. I already said that you are only SSO. Stop! Lin Ling stepped forwards. He put away the Tyrant Song's sword and multicolored flames began to rise from his body. He also has a fire attribute talent, and his talent level isn't low. Stop! Who is this fellow? He can be called a monstrous genius. Stop! Everyone in the hall couldn't laugh anymore. Their faces were filled with fear. Before, they had wanted to take revenge for Great General Tuan Shui, but now, that was nothing more than wishful thinking. Chapter 2419. Mysterious Killer, do you think you've won? I was only careless before, but now I will make you wish you were dead. Flaming Lip Bead. Die! Now that things had come to this, either you die or I live. Thus, the Fiery Lip World King had also erupted with all his trump cards. The fiery lip bead that was floating not too far away was sucked towards him. Then his body exploded, turning into a terrifying cloud of demonic flames. Within the cloud of flames, an eyeball stared at the earth like a fey emperor. This eyeball was the fiery lip bead. It was clear that by borrowing this treasure, his demonic flames had crazily risen. In the 7th stage of the World King realm, no ordinary martial artist was his match. A heaven-shaking demonic energy gushed out. Everyone in the hall was filled with dread. They all fled from the palace. Flaming Lip World King was enraged. He feared that the entire Rising Sun world would suffer a calamity. Who doesn't know how to boast? Up until now, I've met many, but unfortunately, they all lost to me. Die! Lin Ling sneered. The flames on his body burned even brighter. Space was burned away, filling the skies with flames. Moreover, time seemed to freeze, because even time was being burned away. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Gradually, the flames on Lin Ling's body began to become wild and tyrannical, making him seem like a monster. Demonic Flame God 6 transformations. First transformation, Demonic Flame Change. By burning his world essence, he had forcefully increased the strength of his world essence. This meant that Lin Ling's current boundary was the 7th stage of the World King realm. This was a terrifying increase. This was also Lin Ling's strongest attack besides the Space and Time Divine Tablet. Crackle, crackle. The palace had already turned into a sea of fire. On one side was a strange green sea of fire, and on the other side was a multicolored sea of fire. It was like 2 flame gods were colliding. Flaming Lip World King, your demonic flames are quite good. According to the legends, this was a battle between the most ancient flame god and the water god. The wisp of flame left behind by the flame god can be considered a relatively ancient flame. Unfortunately, you have encountered me, the universe's first flame, the flame of space and time. Die! Lin Ling's hair became multicolored. His voice became even more demonic. Flaming lip bead, invincible in all directions, exterminate in all directions, kill in all directions. On the other side, blazing lip world king also roared. His demonic flames grew larger with the wind, suppressing Lin Ling. He didn't believe that a mere third-level World King Jr. could win against someone like him who possessed the flaming lip bead. Rumble! The two great flames occupied the entire world and collided violently at this moment. Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. Boom! However, it did not last long. In the next moment, a huge wave surged out and turned into a colorful mushroom cloud. The entire Imperial Mausoleum was destroyed and burned to ashes. Even the rising sun world was shaken violently. How terrifying! Everyone hid far away, their faces full of shock. A battle of that level was not something they could get close to. Is the young man dead? After a long period of silence, someone asked in a low voice. Unfortunately, no one replied to him. Everyone was looking at the fiery sky, quietly waiting for the result. Who died in the clash between the two infernal gods? That young man is dead for sure. Blazing Lip World King once roamed the southern divine land unhindered. Even a 9th-level World King powerhouse chased after him, but still failed. How could he lose to a late-stage talent? Not too long after, an old man said with certainty. His words caused many people to nod. The Blazing Lip World King was extremely famous in the southern divine land. Thus, they believed in his strength even more. Pa! At this time, the sound of light footsteps echoed out, causing everyone's hearts to skip a beat. As they looked up, their complexions immediately changed. In the broken ruins, all kinds of energy still swept out. Flames soared into the sky, and a tall figure walked out. He had a mocking smile on his face, and a pair of cold eyes looked at everyone. Wherever he passed, no one dared to look him in the eyes. The young man had walked out. It was clear that the Blazing Lip World King had lost. This huge guess caused everyone's faces to turn pale. The Blazing Lip World King of his generation, an outstanding 7th-level World King, had actually lost to a nameless youth. How is this possible? I give you all an incense stick of time to leave this place. Otherwise you will all die. Die! Tilting his head, Lin Ling looked at the people in the distance with interest. Ah! Everyone's jaws dropped open. Fear spread through their hearts. In the next moment, without another word, they all scattered. What a motley crew. Die! Lin Ling curled his lips. He didn't kill them all because his mission was to kill the Blazing Lip World King. As for those evil spirits and monsters, that had nothing to do with him. Moreover, the myriad worlds were so vast, and there were many such evil spirits and monsters. He couldn't kill them all. Then he looked at the skies and slowly left. And above the earth, the mysterious flames of space and time continued to burn the imperial tomb. The temperature of these flames seemed to melt the entire rising sun world. In a distant place, Lin Ling flew into the skies. When he used the evil flame divine transformation for the first time, it was truly formidable. It allowed him to possess the strength of a 7th-level World King, and he had easily killed the Blazing Lip World King. Now his mission had been completed. As for Lin Ling's current strength, he could easily kill an ordinary 7th-level World King. As for the 3rd-generation World King, Lin Ling guessed that even if he couldn't kill him, he wouldn't fear him. Blazing Lip Bead. Then, a flame bead appeared in Lin Ling's right hand. This bead was like an eye, emitting a rich fire attribute world essence energy. It was said that this was the essence of a fire attribute world. When a fire attribute world was about to be born but failed midway, this world would explode, turning into countless fire attribute energies. The Blazing Lip Bead was one of these energies. My Chaos Divine formula can refine any treasure. This Blazing Lip Bead can also be refined. This bead can increase the level of my time flames. Lin Ling smiled. There were additional harvests on this trip. Very good. If his time flames could increase and reach the level of an awakened divine body, then all he needed to do was increase his divinity demon body. At that time, the Chaos Divine formula would reach the 2nd level. Thinking like this, Lin Ling quickened his pace, hurrying towards Martial God World. But soon he frowned. His sharp soul force could sense that a mysterious aura had locked onto him. Moreover, there were many of these auras, as if they came from the chaos of the universe. Since you've come, why be so sneaky? Lin Ling stopped, frowning as he looked at the skies. The skies were still quiet. Clouds drifted about, looking extremely ordinary. If you don't want to come out, then I'm leaving, Lin Ling said calmly, and was about to take a step forward. What a sharp fellow. At this time, the skies were forcefully torn apart, revealing the chaos of the universe. A figure slowly walked down the road of the martial god. This person wore a black robe and had a mask on his face. He gave off an extremely mysterious feeling. I wanted to give him a pleasant surprise, but I never thought that he would discover me first. What a mistake! Ka. On the other side, another crack appeared in the skies and another figure walked out. Chapter 2420. Flying Dragon Organization. I want his bead from before. You want the bead, I want his head. The people that walked out wore the same clothes and wore masks. They stared at Lin Ling as if they were looking at an ant. Most importantly, these people were extremely strong. They were all at the 7th stage of the World King realm. Seeing this, Lin Ling's complexion turned dignified. Who were these people? They seemed to want to harm him. Moreover, there were too many of them. He alone couldn't contend with so many people. You no longer have a chance. Death is your only ending. These people floated in the skies, blocking off all paths of retreat for Lin Ling. One of them coldly said. Lin Ling frowned. As he thought, these people had come to kill him. However, these people were so strong that they could only have been summoned by a great influence. And if it was a great influence, then Lin Ling's greatest enemy was Heavenly Court. But it was impossible for Heavenly Court to come here to kill him. After all, Heavenly Court didn't know his identity. If they did, then they wouldn't have sent World King level powerhouses. Could it be Grand Court County or Solipsism County? Then Lin Ling's eyes brightened. These people's black robes had a dragon embroidered on their chest. A dragon with wings. Flying Dragon Organization. The Flying Dragon Organization that was spread throughout the 9 provinces. It seemed that he was wanted by someone. According to what he knew, as long as he was on the wanted list of the Flying Dragon Organization, then there was only one fate for him, death. The Flying Dragon Organization was vast and mysterious. Up until now, Lin Ling had already come into contact with several people. But he still couldn't guess just how many assassins there were in this organization. Who wants to kill me? Thinking of this, Lin Ling coldly spat out these words. Facing us powerhouses, you are still so calm. You are indeed someone worth killing, a black-robed woman said. She was actually a female assassin. So what if I tell you? One of them took off his mask, revealing a familiar face. This was the last generation of Radiant Academy, my Z. At this time, his complexion was extremely fierce. Lin Ling, how have you been? It's you. Lin Ling came to a sudden realization. No wonder he was being hunted down. So it was my Z. You must be extremely shocked, and I really like to see your shocked expression. Lin Ling, Lin Ling, you are now the last generation of the Resplendent Academy. However, I know that even among the last generation of the Resplendent Academy, your strength can be ranked in the top 10. It is a pity that with your talent and strength, you will fall here today. Let me tell you, in fact, after you left the Resplendent Academy, I've been secretly following you. Even these assassins from the Flying Dragon Organization were informed by me. Look at how much I miss you, ha ha ha. My Z threw his head back and laughed. He was very excited. His younger brother had been killed by my Yen and Lin Ling. He had always wanted to take revenge, and now he had the chance. Moreover, Lin Ling must hate him to death, and he really liked to see Lin Ling hate him to death, but there was nothing he could do. The other black-robed assassins looked at Lin Ling coldly. Their eyes were filled with mockery. They also thought that Lin Ling must be very dispirited at this time. You really are a busybody. But my Z, have you never thought that before I die, you will die faster than me? However, Lin Ling did not show any signs of anger. He only looked at my Z coldly. Then, without saying anything, he slashed out with his sword. The sword quickly carved out the word Xian in the sky and slashed towards my Z with its sharp edge. My Z did not expect Lin Ling to attack so suddenly. His face changed dramatically. He anxiously shouted, Demon Guardian Master, help me. Help! However, the surrounding black-robed assassins only frowned and coldly said, The Flying Dragon Organization is responsible for killing, not saving. Help! You! Help! My Z's eyes widened. These assassins ignored him? At this moment, he panicked. He did not frantically retreat, but it was too late. Show! The huge Xian character pierced through my Z's body, causing the word Xian to appear on his body. Sensing the sword mark on his body, Mai Zi stared at Lin Ling in disbelief. Don't you think it's very ironic? I haven't died yet, but you're already dead. Lin Ling looked at Mai Zi indifferently, his eyes filled with mockery. You came to watch me die, but in the end you died faster than me. Perhaps, if you didn't inform these assassins, you wouldn't have died. Lin Ling's. Mai Zi roared, but his body began to slowly slide down. He was cut into pieces by the sword. His eyes were still wide open, as if he could not believe that he was cut in two by Lin Ling's sword. He also did not think that he would die in front of Lin Ling. If he could turn back time, he would not have brought assassins here, because that moment was also his death. He died with great reluctance. The surrounding assassins still did not move, only coldly looking at Lin Ling. To them, Lin Ling was their target. Lin Ling, your growth rate is really frightening. You just became the last generation, and now your strength is ranked in the top. I'm afraid that it won't be long before you become the third generation. One of the assassins also took off his mask, revealing a familiar face. It was the Guardian Demon Lord. This person was also from the Flying Dragon organization. Back in the market, he almost killed Lin Ling. Later, the mission from the Resplendent Academy came, so he did not dare to do it. This time, he would not let Lin Ling leave alive. Why? Lin Ling looked at him, his eyes even colder. You are wanted by the Grand Court Commandery, and only me Commandery. You are on the must-kill list. For the reward, I have come to kill you. The Guardian Demon Lord said as if it was the most ordinary thing. His hand slowly reached for the bamboo basket behind him. You don't hate me, right? Every injustice has its perpetrator. Every debt has its debtor. If you want to hate the Grand Court Commandery, and only me Commandery. The bamboo basket behind him was like a prison. The moment he slowly extended his hand, the prison seemed to have been opened. A terrifying aura filled the air. It was very ancient, as if it was a demon that caused people to tremble in fear. Even the cold assassins on the side trembled, as if they were extremely afraid. Crow! At the same time, a hideous and painful voice was heard, as if the monster was extremely pitiful. However, Lin Ling's pupils constricted. He felt a strong sense of danger. His left eye was frantically moving, trying to see what it was. His memories were also constantly flipping through. Finally, a voice rose in his mind. It was resentment. This was a product of the chaos of the universe, formed by countless grievances. There were many kinds of grievances, such as the grievances produced after the extermination of a clan, or the grievances produced after being tortured to death. This was especially true for newborn children. If they were killed by others, the grievances would be even greater. Thousands of grievances were transmitted through the worlds, and finally, resentment was born in the chaos of the universe. This was a universal monster. Just as Lin Ling finished thinking, the Guardian Demon Lord threw out the black shadow. It was unbelievably fast. Chapter 24-21. Universal Malevolence Dodge Domain. At the critical moment, Lin Ling's soul force erupted, instantly vanishing. That resentment didn't manage to catch Lin Ling. It immediately emitted an even greater resentment. The other powerhouse's pupils shrank. The martial arts that Lin Ling used had actually surpassed their knowledge. They had never seen this sort of martial arts before. There are secrets on his body. If we kill him, then we can obtain them. An old man lightly said, his eyes seeming to see far off into the distance. He knew that Lin Ling was fleeing. This fellow is quite good. He is only at the third stage of the World King realm, but he was able to escape from our hands. He is worthy of praise. Before this, he even killed the Flaming Lip World King. Such a junior is difficult to deal with. We must eliminate him by the roots. He won't be able to escape. I'm not in a hurry to kill him. I want to see what other secrets he's hiding. The others glanced at each other, calmly speaking. It was as if Lin Ling wasn't a person but a mouse that they had forced into a dead end. It was as if they were conducting some sort of experiment. And most importantly, their words were far too calm, like an ancient well without any ripples. It was as if killing Lin Ling was an ordinary matter. He is mine, the Demon Guardian Lord lightly said. He took a step forwards, rushing towards the direction that Lin Ling had fled. This mission was accepted by everyone. It doesn't matter who kills him. Go. Lin Ling is the last generation of your Radiant Academy, so you should be the one to deal with him. The others nodded. The Demon Guardian Lord smiled and said, Return within 3 incense sticks of time. As he spoke, he vanished from where he was. As for the other killers, they slowly walked forwards. They clearly weren't in a hurry. After all, although the Demon Guardian Lord was at the 7th stage of the World King realm, he was still a martial god genius of Radiant Academy. His strength was far greater than that of an ordinary 7th stage World King. At this time, Lin Ling's complexion was dignified. There were too many killers and he couldn't win. His only choice was to retreat. Grand Court Commandery, my commandery. Lin Ling's cold voice drifted through the sky. He roughly knew who had issued the bounty. He quickly ran along the rising sun boundary. After a long time, just as Lin Ling was about to rest, a cold voice was heard. You're quite slow. I've been waiting for you for a long time. On a mountain peak far away, the Demon Guardian Master was already seated there, calmly sipping on his wine. Seeing this, Lin Ling's pupils constricted. It should be the resentment from before. He had left a mark on his body, so the Guardian Demon Lord had quickly caught up. Since they had caught up, Lin Ling did not plan to escape. He said indifferently, "Must we fight to the death? Why is it that every person who is about to die always talks so much nonsense before they die?" Demon Guarding Master ignored Lin Ling's words and continued to drink. His cold demeanor made Lin Ling's heart burn with anger. The last generation can't win against the 3rd generation. The Demon Guardian Master said again, "You only rely on that resentment. Your strength isn't very strong. No wonder you can only become the 3rd generation. I'm afraid that's your limit," Lin Ling said sarcastically. As these words fell, the Demon Guardian Master was stunned for a moment, as if he had touched a sore spot. He pointed out, "Shut up. You think you have the qualifications to talk about me?" His expression was extremely gloomy and even angry, as if his throne had been violated. That finger had erupted with the strength of a 7th stage World King. It was even stronger than the Flaming Lip World King. Moreover, his attack was very fast, without any warning. Lin Ling did not expect that the Demon Guardian Master would suddenly attack. Moreover, his mood became gloomy. At the critical moment, the Tyrant Song sword appeared in his hand. The word profound appeared in a dazzling manner. Rumble. However, he had anxiously attacked while the Demon Guardian Master had used his full strength. Therefore, that finger did not give Lin Ling any advantage. He was struck by a powerful force and smashed into a distant mountain, causing it to explode. Moreover, a trace of blood seeped out from the corners of Lin Ling's lips. Someone who is about to die should speak properly. At the same time, the Demon Guardian Master stood up and coldly stared at Lin Ling. It was as if he was still complaining about Lin Ling's previous words. It was clear that this was his sore spot. "Ho ho, it looks like you really are relying on external objects. Your strength is only so." On the other side, Lin Ling stood up and coldly said, "Try saying that again." "Trash." The Demon Guardian Master seemed even angrier. A person who was about to die should be kneeling down and begging for mercy when they met him, not stepping on his sore spot. "Whether or not I am, you know?" Lin Ling shook his head, his complexion becoming calm. This was because he sensed that there was no one else around. There was only the Demon Guardian Master. It seemed that the other party was confident that he would take the initiative to come and kill him. Good. I can't deny that you are right. But being able to erase you is enough." After the Demon Guardian Master's anger subsided, he finally smiled. But there was a trace of madness in his smile. "When you killed the Flaming Lip World King, you were able to erupt with the strength of a 7th level World King. Just what sort of cultivation method did you cultivate? Tell me." Then, as he saw Lin Ling fall silent, he said, "You no longer have any other choice. Because you killed the Flaming Lip World King, you still haven't recovered. You are even less of a match for me. Speak." As he spoke these last words, his tone became incomparably tyrannical. However, Lin Ling only smiled, not speaking. "It seems that you have a strong backbone. Very good. But I have thousands of ways to make you speak. Moreover, what you said before was right. The reason I was able to become a 3rd-generation World King was because I relied on resentment. But so what if I rely on external objects?" The Demon Guardian Master seemed to have run out of patience. He reached out towards the bamboo basket behind him once more, causing Lin Ling to let out a light breath. Then he finally said, "You aren't the only one who relies on other cards. To me, your cards are far too difficult." Ha, I have Huan Yu's resentment energy and you say my cards are far too difficult? You must be joking. The The demon guardian master was stunned for a moment. Then he couldn't help but laugh. Lin Ling was at the 3rd level World King realm, but he was able to kill a 7th level World King. This was enough to be proud of. But Lin Ling said he had other cards? This was simply impossible. Moreover, he was mocking his resentment as being far too difficult. What a joke. Then let me see just how fierce your cards are. The demon guardian master roared. He threw out his hands and Huan Yu's resentment spread out, causing all the nearby plants to wither away. It was terrifying. Crow. At the same time, a sharp and fierce voice echoed out. It was filled with resentment, causing one's scalp to tingle. A shadow rapidly shot towards Lin Ling. As for the demon guardian master, his sneer deepened. He glared at Lin Ling, wanting to see Lin Ling's panicked appearance. After all, when Lin Ling saw his resentment, Lin Ling had indeed panicked. But this time he was surprised. Chapter 24-22. A powerful hidden card, Space and Time Divine Tablet. What is that? What? With just a glance, Demon Guardian Lord's heart trembled. Could it be that Lin Ling was still hiding another hidden card? This was too horrifying. At the 3rd stage of the World King realm, all sorts of hidden cards could kill a 7th stage World King, and now he still had another hidden card. Could it be that Lin Ling's hidden cards were endless? At the same time, an ancient aura filled the air, as if it came from ancient times. The true flames of time and space also quietly descended. This was the Space and Time Divine Tablet. In the skies, strong winds howled and space seemed to burn. A massive stone tablet floated in the air, as if it could suppress all worlds. Crow. That resentment immediately cried out in panic. It fell to the ground, shivering. Looking carefully, this was a monkey-like monster. If it weren't for the fact that it was shivering in panic, it would have been extremely frightening. Resentment, kill him. Kill. Demon Guardian Lord had a bad feeling. He hurriedly shouted out. But resentment continued to shiver, not daring to move. At this time, Demon Guardian Lord was also a bit afraid. What was ironic was that he was a dignified 3rd-generation disciple of the Radiant Academy, but he actually feared a last-generation disciple. Suddenly, he subconsciously looked up and discovered that a massive stone tablet had appeared in the skies at some unknown time. At this time, it came crashing down with the glorious might of the heavens. This sort of heavenly might was ancient, causing an irresistible thought to rise in his mind. Evil beings of the world, ghosts, demons, monsters, resentment, slaughter, evil, and all sorts of other things. All of them were suppressed beneath this sacred stone tablet. Crow. That resentment fell to the ground, suppressed to the point that it couldn't stand up. What is this? Demon Guardian Lord's heart raced. He looked towards Lin Ling and discovered that this youth was indifferent to the extreme. His long hair danced in the wind, as if he were the king of hell that ruled over his life. Lin Ling had indeed hidden a hidden card. Moreover, facing Lin Ling's hidden card, his resentment was far too weak. How could this be? A 3rd-stage World King Jr. had so many hidden cards, each one stronger than the last. What if Lin Ling reached the 7th stage of the World King realm? Guardian Demon Lord didn't dare to continue imagining. He angrily shouted, Lin Ling, what is this? Space-time Divine Steel. Lin Ling's expression was indifferent as he spat out a sentence. Space-time Divine Steel. Lord Shimo shuddered. This is the space-time divine steel we obtained from the 8 gods' heavenly palace. So, you were the one who obtained it. Not long ago, a large number of powerhouses had headed to the 8 gods' heavenly palace. They had heard that a space-time barrier had appeared there, but he had obtained some information that the true treasure was the space-time divine steel. However, no one was able to obtain the treasure. Even experts like the 3 leaders had failed. And now Lin Ling had the space-time divine steel. This meant that Lin Ling had obtained the treasure. At that moment, he wanted nothing more than to tell everyone that the space-time divine steel was in Lin Ling's possession. Lin Ling, how about we shake hands and make peace? Lord Shimo suppressed the thoughts in his mind and quickly shouted. He thought that Lin Ling was only the last generation with some ability, but now he knew that Lin Ling already had the qualifications to become the 3rd generation. Shake hands and make peace? Lin Ling couldn't help but be startled. He didn't understand why Lord Shimo would say that. When Lord Shimo saw Lin Ling's expression, he hurriedly said again, shake hands and make peace. From now on, you and I will become friends. I will also think of a way to wash away your wanted list in the Flying Dragon organization. If you continue to fight, if I burn my realm essence, it will be disadvantageous to you. At most, we will perish together, so you have to grasp this opportunity. Hearing this, Lin Ling frowned and mocked. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. However, I plan to perish together with you. As soon as he finished speaking, the huge space-time divine steel in the sky smashed down majestically, sealing everything. Space and time both stopped moving. Sensing the terrifying aura, Lord Shimo became even more flustered. Lin Ling, don't go too far. Do you want to force me to burn my realm essence? Why is it that every person who is about to die has so much nonsense before they die? Lin Ling naturally knew that Lord Shimo was struggling before his death. Did you want to perish together with him? Was he worthy? Go to hell. Without wasting any more words, Lin Ling controlled the space-time divine steel and suppressed the earth. Lord Shimo became more and more flustered. His eyes were bloodshot. He kept running, but he couldn't escape the space-time divine steel's seal. He was like a mouse trapped in a cage. At this moment, he was filled with endless regret, because he was about to become the second generation of the Resplendent Academy, but now, that identity was getting farther and farther away from him. Lin Ling, I won't let you off even if I become a ghost. As the space-time divine steel neared his eyes, Lord Shimo let out an unwilling roar. You can say that after I go to hell. Lin Ling shook his head and turned to leave. Boom. A deafening sound reverberated as the entire rising sun world quaked. It even nearly shattered. Lord Shimo and resentment were smashed to smithereens. Although he had the universal chaos resentment aura, it was nothing compared to the space-time divine steel, which was at the ultimate desolate body grade. Using the space-time divine steel has drained all my strength. I have to retreat immediately. Lin Ling quickly moved forward. In his right eye, the space-time divine steel had vanished. Rumble! The earth behind him was still quaking and cracking. Even the sky had a massive vortex. At the same time, on the other side, the assassins were stunned. What powerful strength! What happened? Could there be a hidden expert in this world? Could it be Lord Shimo? It's definitely not him. He doesn't have such strength. The powerful assassins said with a frown as they shot towards the source of the sound. Moments later, they were stunned on the spot by the shocking scene in front of them. What terrifying strength! Could it be the legendary divine body strength? It should be. There is indeed a hidden expert in this world. I hope he doesn't interfere with our mission. Where's Lord Shimo? His aura seems to have vanished. Could he have been killed? Was it the Lin Ling from before? Impossible. Find him. We have to find Lin Ling. The assassins let out cold voices. They still did not know that Lord Shimo had been killed by Lin Ling. Following that, they scattered. They wanted to see him if he was alive, and his corpse if he was dead. As for Lin Ling, he had exhausted his realm essence, so he naturally dodged the attack. Along the way, he placed the flaming lip bead into his mouth before sinking it into the ground. Time passed silently. Deep in the ground, colorful flames were burning, as though they were flames from the core of the earth. However, what was surprising was that these flames did not burn anything. Fire would burn anything it encountered. And at this moment, the flames did not burn anything. This showed how mysterious the flames were. Rumble. Boom. Boom. Almost at the same time, the ground exploded. All the flames in the rising sun world swayed in a certain direction, as though they had seen the Inferno ancestor. Even the flames in the extinction world, which was closer to the rising sun world, swayed in the direction of the rising sun world. This miraculous scene made the warriors of the two realms feel as if they were celestial beings. Chapter 24-23. Awakened divine Bodian in the great earth of rising sun world, Lin Ling sat cross-legged. All around him, the flames of time and space lingered. Compared to before, he was even more terrifying. After an unknown period of time, a dazzling light fell down from the universe's chaos, falling onto the earth. It was resplendent to the extreme. A divine aura filled the air. In the distance, the animals all knelt down. They began to murmur as if they were singing a hymn. This was because this light was too divine. It came from the most mysterious universe's chaos. And this was the divine light protecting the body. Every awakened divine body would be protected by divine light. This represented that they had obtained the approval of the universe's chaos and were a descendant of God. and the divine light protecting the body possessed a formidable defense. It was immune to all sorts of powers that came from the universe's chaos. It could be called an invincible existence. Beneath the awakened divine body, all talent could be instantly killed, unless the latter's boundary was extremely high. And the one who awakened the godly body was Lin Ling. This was because by borrowing the power of the flaming lip bead, Lin Ling's fire talent had reached the level of an awakened divine body. Moreover, beneath the divine light of the universe's chaos, Lin Ling's boundary quietly rose. His world spirit grew even larger. A fourth world essence was born, possessing the strength of 4 great worlds. 4th level world king realm. Then the divine light gradually dimmed. And on the earth, Lin Ling opened his eyes. At present, his superficial boundary had reached the 4th level of the world king realm. As for his second dantian, it was still at the 3rd level of the world king realm. However, his fire talent had risen, causing his strength to rise by a full 50%. This meant that with so many hidden cards, Lin Ling would have few opponents in the 7th level of the world king realm. After all, Lin Ling's foundation was far too terrifying. Before, if those killers had followed Demon Guardian Master, then I would have already died. Thinking of what happened before, Lin Ling inwardly felt lucky. It could only be said that Demon Guardian Master had been too confident in himself, thinking that he could deal with Lin Ling alone. In the end, he had failed miserably. I have no idea how much time has passed since I started cultivating. After sensing his cultivation once more, Lin Ling floated up from the earth. At this time, all the animals had left. Everything had returned to normal. Run! Why aren't you running? In the ancient mountain range, several figures were strolling forward. In front of them were a few people in armor. At this moment, their faces were in a sorry state, and they were extremely panicked. In the end, they stopped, no longer running, because they had been on the run for an entire year, but they were still unable to avoid being hunted down. The Rising Sun world has attracted a large number of experts. I didn't expect your Sun family to have such a great background despite its decline. The first-generation ancestor actually has a sacred body and a demon heart. No wonder the great Azure Divine Dynasty is protecting you. One of the old men said coldly. His entire body was surging with demon chi. Although the sacred body and demon heart don't belong to us, we will still have other rewards for killing you. Unless you tell us where Lin Ling is. I don't think they know. After all, it's been a year, and Lin Ling has still disappeared without a trace. He's either dead or escaped. Not dead. If he was dead, then those experts wouldn't be looking for Lin Ling anymore. However, the Rising Sun world is sealed, so Lin Ling won't be able to escape. The others also said coldly. They didn't seem to be assassins of the Flying Dragon organization, but they seemed to know about Lin Ling's matter. Clearly, someone had offered a generous reward for the martial artists of the Rising Sun world to help find Lin Ling. Despicable and shameless. Sun Jiao, you are also considered a member of our Sun family, but now you are working with others to kill us. After you die, will you still have the face to see the Sun family's ancestors? You will suffer retribution. Looking at the people opposite them, the men in armor all shouted angrily. Although the second prince has become the master of the Rising Sun world, he is too weak. How can he be qualified to be called a king? You are too stupid and loyal. You don't know that history has changed, and the Sun family has declined. A cold voice sounded at the same time, causing the armored men to angrily look at each other. You are not qualified to be surnamed Sun. You don't need to worry about this. Seniors, cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. Along with the cold voice, killing intent overflowed. Born as a member of the Sun family, dead as a member of the Sun family. The situation was already difficult to escape, so the armored men looked at each other, their faces filled with determination. Let's go all out. If we can catch one of them before we die, it will be worth it. 18 years later, we will be heroes again. They all pounced over, ready to fight to the death. Catch one of them to die? Can you do it? On the other side, an old man smiled disdainfully, and the demonic aura on his body became denser. They can't do it, but I can. A voice suddenly sounded, and the ground split open, and a slender figure slowly floated up. This person was very young, and his face was angular. His eyes were calm, as if he wouldn't be shocked even if the sky collapsed. At this moment, he was coldly looking at the crowd. Who are you? This matter has nothing to do with you, because the one who wants to kill them is a powerful martial artist, not someone we can provoke. The old man's eyes flickered with caution, because he sensed that he couldn't see through this young man. The reason for this was that, first, the other party didn't practice martial arts, so there was no spirit energy emitted from him. Second, the other party's strength exceeded theirs by too much, so they couldn't see clearly. Between these two reasons, the old man definitely appreciated the second one. As for the armored men, they stared at the young man, and their faces couldn't help but become wild with joy. They cried out in surprise, "Senior Lin Ling." These people were impressively the second prince's men, so they recognized Lin Ling. In their hearts, Lin Ling was a martial god genius, omnipotent. Lin Ling, could this be the Lin Ling that the outside powerhouses are searching for? The old man's expression instantly changed, and his body began to tremble. It's him, he killed the flaming lip world king. Beside him, someone seemed to recognize Lin Ling. Lin Ling looked at them with indifference. He sensed that he seemed to have seen one or two of them before, at the flaming lip world king's imperial palace. At that time, he had killed the flaming lip world king, and the others had been told to scram. But now they had appeared again. These people hadn't fled? In that case, something must have happened during this period of time when he was cultivating in seclusion. I'll give you a chance. Tell me what happened, then cripple your own cultivation, and you can scram. Lin Ling stepped forward and said indifferently, "Cripple our own cultivation? Lin Ling, this request is too ruthless. I refuse." "Don't say it. No one is allowed to say it. Let's see who dares to say it." The old man pondered for a moment, then immediately roared. This made the people beside him open their mouths, but in the end, they didn't dare to speak. Seeing this, Lin Ling faintly smiled. His left hand appeared, and a colorful flame floated out. With a flick of his finger, it shot towards one of them. "You dare." That person's pupils shrank. Lin Ling was attacking him? After all, not long ago, they were dominating the lives of others. But now, Lin Ling seemed to be dominating their lives. This contrast was too great. Unfortunately, he couldn't recognize himself. Last time in the palace, Lin Ling didn't kill them, so they should have been lucky. Then, according to Lin Ling's request, they left the Rising Sun realm. Now they were seen by Lin Ling again, and he dared to ask Lin Ling if he dared. Chapter 24-24. Sun Yenner's death. Puff! Colorful flames landed on that person's body and instantly burned him. Space and time seemed to have frozen. The terrifying thing was that the person's face was filled with fear. He kept making sounds, but not a single sound could be heard. The others could only watch as that person died. This was too terrifying for them. In a breath's time, that expert was burned to ashes. The remaining people stared at Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling still did not speak. With a flick of his finger, another wisp of flame shot out. "Not speaking? Fine, then I'll kill you until you speak." Instantly, another expert died, and he died in an extremely tragic manner. The armored men were extremely excited. As expected of Lin Ling. He had come, and no expert could stop him. Swoosh! Another flame shot out, and the third person was burned to death. Gradually, the fourth person. An oppressive atmosphere quietly filled the air. The remaining people were all trembling because the people beside them had died silently. Moreover, they had died right beside them. This was a kind of torture for them. "Senior Lin Ling, after you disappeared, the experts from the 10,000 worlds did not leave. They searched everywhere for you and found the places you had been to. The Sun family was one of them. In order to find out your whereabouts, those experts wantonly killed and plundered the Sun family. Now, the entire Rising Sun world is under their control. Moreover, those experts found the sacred body and demon heart left behind by the Sun family, which attracted even more experts. I've already said it. Let me go." What was surprising was that the first person to speak was actually the old man, and the one who didn't let others speak was also him. After he finished speaking, he immediately turned around and left. The others looked at the old man angrily, because the old man had finished speaking. Then, even if they told Lin Ling any more information, it would be useless. That old man was so despicable. Experts from the 10,000 worlds? Lin Ling's pupils constricted. If he guessed correctly, it should be the assassins of the Flying Dragon organization. He didn't expect those assassins to be so vicious. They couldn't find him, so they went around killing people. Moreover, they had the entire world look for him. Whoosh! A wisp of flame shot out and landed on the old man's body, causing his pupils to constrict. This was because he had already said all the information, but Lin Ling still wanted to kill him. "You, how could you kill me?" The old man let out a sound of disbelief. Unfortunately, Lin Ling didn't even look at him. Plop! The remaining people immediately knelt down and kowtowed. "I'm also a member of the Sun family. Senior Lin Ling, you can't kill me." Someone kowtowed the most, his forehead covered in blood. "You still have the nerve to say that you're from the Sun family?" The armored men immediately shouted angrily. This person's skin was too thick. Their words caused that person's face to turn pale. Right now, Lin Ling was clearly on the second prince's side. This meant that he was on the wrong side. There's no need to explain. If explaining can solve the problem, why do we need the police? Lin Ling's voice carried a thick, killing intent. His feet moved, and the earth exploded, shocking the sky, causing those people to be smashed to pieces. "Where's Sun Yaoyong?" Then, Lin Ling looked at the armored men and asked. Sun Yaoyong was the second prince. Originally, after Lin Ling completed his mission, he wanted to leave immediately and have nothing to do with the second prince. However, the second prince was obviously implicated by him now. "Senior Lin Ling, follow me." The armored men immediately said respectfully and led Lin Ling forward. They crossed mountains and seas. After a long time, they arrived at a valley. There were a large number of people in the valley. They were the remaining members of the Sun family. "Who's there?" Someone said coldly. "It's Lord Lin Ling. He's here." The armored men were extremely excited. Everyone in the valley was shocked. Among them, a young man strode out. He looked extremely tired. It was the second prince, Sun Yaoyong. "Lin Ling, you're still alive." "That's great." After Sun Yaoyong saw Lin Ling, he immediately smiled. Lin Ling's heart warmed. He and the second prince had only met by chance, but the latter actually treated him as a friend. "I'm sorry. This matter has implicated you," Lin Ling hurriedly said. However, the second prince Sun Yaoyong waved his hand. "This matter has nothing to do with you. After all, if you didn't kill the blazing lip world king, our Sun family wouldn't have been able to escape this calamity. On the contrary, in order to help our Sun family, you were targeted by those mysterious powerhouses. So we have implicated you." He was well aware that even if Lin Ling wasn't here, their Sun family still wouldn't have been able to escape destruction. This was the sorrow of the weak. Lin Ling also knew this. However, he still felt a bit guilty in his heart. Then he swept his eyes around. "Where's Sun Yener?" As these words fell, the valley fell silent. The second prince pondered for a moment, and then entered the valley. Then he carried a young girl out. However, Lin Ling discovered that the young girl was already dead. Bang! Lin Ling's heart was like thunder. That beautiful young girl, she was dead? She was naive, pure, and kind. Why did those people want to kill her? His gaze couldn't help but fall on the young girl's hand. He saw that the young girl was still holding on to a martial god fruit. This was the key to her martial arts path. Unfortunately, she had failed. Cold. A terrifying killing intent emitted from Lin Ling's body. The entire valley seemed to enter a period of cold winter. Everyone's hearts fiercely trembled. This young man made them feel fear. "Lin Ling, this has nothing to do with you. I can only say that little Yan's fate is like this. In the unseen world, everything is predestined." The second prince took a big step forward and arrived in front of Lin Ling. He held Lin Ling's shoulder and said. He was afraid that Lin Ling would feel guilty. "Lin Ling, you once told that learning martial arts might seem glorious, but in reality, it is accompanied by many dangers. If one is not careful, it is very common for one's soul to dissipate. Therefore, sometimes it is better to be immortal. Therefore, I have advised her." However, her dream was to learn martial arts. Now, she finally had the chance to step into the martial arts path. Therefore, she died for her dream. She died without regrets. The second prince said again. Powerful strength separated mortals from martial artists. Once one stepped into the world of martial arts, one would be a person of another world. Life and death dangers would accompany it. Mortals, on the other hand, were safer. Of course, they would lose their dignity and could only be bullied by the strong. Although Sun Yener was dead, it was obvious that she had fulfilled her dream because she had also stepped into the martial arts path. The world of martial arts was very cruel. Every day, someone would be eliminated or even die. At this moment, Sun Yener was eliminated. Lin Ling's heart gradually calmed down. He had also thought this through. Perhaps this was all fated to happen. Some people could only be mortals for life. If they wanted to go against the heavens and step into the martial arts path, the outcome would be death. However, although this was the law of the universe, Lin Ling was still unwilling to accept it. I will avenge her. Lin Ling raised his head. His eyes were filled with the flames of revenge. Chapter 24-25. Killing 10 people in one step. Those assassins had killed Sun Yenner's dream and eliminated her on the path of martial arts. Then Lin Ling would eliminate them. Lin Ling, don't be impulsive. The rising sun world is no longer the same as before. The secret of our first-generation ancestor has spread out and attracted even more experts. The second prince hurriedly pulled Lin Ling back. He was moved. Lin Ling was avenging his sister. In fact, Lin Ling didn't need to care about this matter, but Lin Ling stood up for his sister. They met by chance and fought for each other. It was his sister's fortune to have met Lin Ling in this life. You don't need to persuade me. Every injustice has its perpetrator. Every debt has its debtor. Those assassins must all die. Lin Ling left these words and quickly disappeared into the valley. The valley was silent. People still didn't believe that Lin Ling would really take revenge. Lin Ling was a real man. At this moment, Lin Ling appeared in the sky. His 10,000 mammoth demon eyes swept across this world. Then he shot towards the ground. There were a total of 18 assassins who had come to kill him. He had already remembered this when he was being hunted down. Therefore, the first battle was in the former Sun family's palace. Because there, he saw a few assassins. At this moment, there were a large number of warriors in the Sun family's palace. Some were from the outside world, and some were local warriors. Because the Sun family had retreated, they left behind an empty city. Therefore, they were plundering the treasures in the palace. The Sun family isn't strong, but they have a lot of treasures. I heard that the first-generation ancestor of the Sun family was very amazing. He was also extremely famous in the martial god realm. Unfortunately, his descendants have declined. They have treasures, but they can't find the key. That's too easy for us. In the vast palace, a large number of warriors were plundering the treasures. Along the way, they saw some corpses and kicked them away. Apart from the palace, the innocent people in the imperial city were also mercilessly killed when they encountered the warriors. This chick is not bad. I can use her as a cultivation vessel to increase my strength. TSK, there are too many experts gathered here. I'm afraid the Great Qing Divine Dynasty won't be able to handle all of them. Even if they send experts here, by then, we will have already left this world. Even if we didn't leave, those experts wouldn't come looking for small fries like us. On the streets, many martial artists were gloating. And at this time, an icy cold figure appeared in the imperial city. It was Lin Ling. His eyes were fixed on a grand hall not too far away. There was a martial artist searching a corpse. Every time he found something, the martial artist would excitedly smile. Whoosh! A sword appeared in Lin Ling's hand. It was an ice-cold sword. He slashed out. The martial artist's arm was instantly severed and blood spurted out. After he reacted, he roared, "What are you doing?" There were still many people in the grand hall. At this moment, they were also frowning at Lin Ling. They didn't understand why Lin Ling had attacked. Your Excellency, if you also want to obtain treasures, then you can search for them yourself. Why did you snatch the treasures of others? Don't you think your heart is too black? An old man in a monk's robe said. He had a kind face, as if he was upholding justice. The divine era Taoist is right. We are all from the myriad worlds. It's better to have some rules when doing things. If you become a villain and incur the wrath of the masses, be careful not to end up dead. Another old man with white hair and a youthful face also said, "We will give you a chance for what happened before. We won't fuss over your mistakes. However, one shouldn't be too greedy." They seemed to think that Lin Ling was here to snatch the treasures. Lin Ling looked at them indifferently. His handsome face became even colder. These people, under the banner of justice, had come to rob this place. Now that he had killed someone, everyone said that he was too greedy and too black-hearted? Were they qualified to say these words? Sun Yenner stood aloof from worldly affairs. When did she provoke them? But didn't she also end up dead? Die for me. Lin Ling's voice became even colder. It was like the cold wind under the night rain, causing people to shudder. His sword was even colder. When the sword came out, it took a life. The warrior with the broken arm watched the sword slash towards him. He couldn't block it, and his eyes widened. He had no enmity with this young man, but this young man wanted to kill him. Was he a homicidal maniac? Unfortunately, the sword didn't answer him. Instead, his head flew off and blood spurted out. "You're crazy." Seeing this, the crowd shouted. "A dead man doesn't need so much nonsense." Lin Ling held the sword and moved forward. His robe fluttered. The ancient sword was merciless. Sword light flashed, and a martial artist was chopped in half. "You're courting death. Don't tell me you want to kill all of us." Those warriors stared at Lin Ling angrily. This young man killed without hesitation. He was indeed cold-blooded and merciless. When they were angry, they didn't expect that all the people in the imperial city would be killed by them. In the eyes of the people, weren't they cold-blooded and merciless? Lin Ling didn't say a word. He took a step forward and slashed out again. Puff! Puff! 3 lives were killed by him in a row. Pa! His footsteps moved again. With this sword, 10 lives were reaped by him, killing 10 people with 1 step. His strength was too strong, and no one could block a single strike from him. Blood gradually flowed like a river in the imperial palace. Those angry warriors also began to panic at this moment. Sinful, sinful. Amitba. Benefactor, lay down your butcher's knife and become a Buddha. The divine era Taoist put his palms together and looked at Lin Ling in horror. I'll help you become a Buddha. The fire of time and space appeared in Lin Ling's left hand. He sprinkled it out of thin air and burned it. Benefactor, do you have to commit such a great slaughter? The divine era Taoist's heart fiercely shook. Lin Ling even wanted to kill him? But what a pity, why wouldn't he dare? Ancient flames rushed forth, covering the divine era Taoist and burning him to ashes. The hall became even more silent. Originally, these martial artists wanted to gather together and kill Lin Ling. But they discovered that this was far too difficult. Lin Ling's strength was simply too terrifying. Perhaps without a 6th-level world king, no one was his match. Why? Most importantly, they still didn't understand why Lin Ling wanted to kill them all. They had no grudge with Lin Ling. Why? At this time, Lin Ling was like a death god. He used his flames and sword to tell them why. Sir, you are truly a death god. But at this time, an indifferent voice sounded out. 3 figures appeared in the skies above the imperial palace. They wore black robes and wore masks, their complexions indifferent. They were the 3 killers of the Flying Dragon organization. Seniors, save us. Seeing this, many people fell to their knees, as if they had seen their saviors arrive. What was ironic was that these 3 people were killers. The lives that had died in their hands numbered at over 1 billion, but now they had actually become saviors? The 3 mysterious black-robed people clearly didn't care about the people below. They floated in the skies. One of them lightly said, "Who are you and why are you so ruthless?" They didn't recognize Lin Ling for a moment, but they were surprised by Lin Ling's ruthlessness. On the ground, Lin Ling sneered. These 3 people were the true killers behind the scenes. I am Lin Ling. Without any nonsense, Lin Ling threw himself into the skies. Chapter 24-26. She called me master. Demon Guardian Lord, where is he? One of the assassins asked after a moment of surprise. She was actually a woman. Moreover, her origins were extremely mysterious. No one knew that she was hiding in an ordinary world, living the life of an ordinary person. In the eyes of her neighbors, she was a kind and simple woman. Many people had received help from her, but no one knew that she was a killer. Demon Guardian Lord has gone to hell. In the air, Lin Ling coldly spat out these words. The ancient sword in his hand began to shine with a dazzling light. A bleak killing intent slashed out like a tsunami. The word profound appeared in the skies, revealing its sharpness. It was like a world-shaking sword strike from the sword world. What shameless boasting! The 3 assassins angrily shouted. They could see that Lin Ling's strength had reached the 4th level of the World King realm. But, did he have the qualifications to attack them with such strength? However, reality told them why he didn't have the qualifications. That sword strike seemed slow, but as it reached the end, its speed instantly accelerated. It was like the finishing touch, possessing the speed of a world. The woman wanted to attack and suppress Lin Ling, but it was too late. A sword pierced through her. A dazzling, profound character appeared on her body. Her mask fell off, revealing her delicate and pretty face. But at this time, her face was filled with disbelief. She never imagined that she would die here. However, if one stood by the river, how could their shoes not be wet? She had been an assassin her entire life and had killed countless people. But today, she was also killed by someone. You killed her. The other two black-robed assassins' pupils shook. This was because they were all at the 7th level of the World King realm. Moreover, if they could become assassins, there were few that could match them in the 7th level of the World King realm. But Lin Ling had killed her with a single sword strike? How could this Lin Ling be so strong? What sort of crooked method did you use? A figure instantly shot towards Lin Ling. In the air, a black sword appeared out of thin air. It was like the sword of a death god. Moreover, this sword was dripping with blood. It was unknown just how many people this sword had killed. At the same time, the power of his 7th level World King realm essence erupted. Lin Ling had used the profound sword record before, so it was clear that he didn't have time to use another sword move. He could only use his sword to meet force with force. Clang! The two swords collided, releasing intense sparks. Both of them were evenly matched. How can he be so strong? The martial artists below all sucked in a breath of cold air. They thought that Lin Ling was dead for sure, but in the end, they saw that Lin Ling was evenly matched with those mysterious powerhouses. As far as they knew, these mysterious experts were all lords of realms. At the very least, they controlled 5 realms. Every single one of them was an overlord. Your sword is sharp, but your boundary isn't high. I don't believe you can block my 7th stage World King strength. The black-robed assassin held his sword and said coldly, "Get out of here." Lin Ling angrily shouted. This was because he wasn't an ordinary 7th level World King. At this moment, the world essence of the two Dantians fused, forming a terrifying sword. You are not at the 4th stage of the World King realm. The black-robed assassin exclaimed when he sensed the surging energy of the world essence. Crack! A terrifying power attacked him, and the sword in his hand broke inch by inch. Furthermore, Lin Ling's sword had cut him into 2 halves. Plop! As his body fell to the ground, everyone in the Imperial City felt their hearts violently skip a beat. In the blink of an eye, 2 powerhouses had died. As for the remaining assassin, his eyes flashed, as if he wanted to see through everything about Lin Ling. This was because when he first chased down Lin Ling had been nothing more than an ant, a mouse that had been forced into a dead end. But now he discovered that Lin Ling was far more terrifying. Did Demon Guardian Master really die in your hands? The assassin couldn't help but ask. Yes, and the next one will be you. Lin Ling floated in the skies. In his left palm, multicolored flames appeared, ancient and boundless. As these flames appeared, the entire Imperial City began to shake. Moreover, around Lin Ling's body, a divine light protected him. This divine light was extremely sacred, as if it came from the primal chaos of the universe. Awaken the divine body. The assassin's voice sharpened. Divine light protecting the body. This was the symbol of an awakened divine body. It could be said that with an awakened divine body, Lin Ling was invincible within the 4th level of the World King realm. Moreover, the power of the world essence that Lin Ling erupted with seemed to surpass the 4th level of the World King realm. This meant that Lin Ling was an invincible existence within the 7th level of the World King realm. Such a difficult character to deal with was actually treated as an ant or a mouse by these assassins. Why aren't you leaving? The assassin knew that it would be difficult to resist. He slowly took off his mask, revealing an old face. King Tang. Someone recognized the assassin. This was a powerhouse with an illustrious reputation in the infinite worlds. No one thought that his true identity would be an assassin. You clearly have the strength to leave here, but Lin Ling came to kill us. You should know that there are countless powerhouses in Rising Sun World right now. You should leave immediately and not seek revenge on us. The old man sighed. He had killed people all year round, and today he would be killed. Thus, he had already mentally prepared himself. In their line of work, being killed was an unchangeable ending. Because you killed a person. The flames in Lin Ling's hands became increasingly tyrannical, causing the martial artists on the ground to tremble with fear. They nearly fell to their knees. Is it someone from Rising Sun World? To you they are nothing but ants. There is no need for you to challenge so many powerhouses for the sake of an ant. After all, you were able to kill Guardian Demon Master. You are already a 3rd-generation disciple of Radiant Academy. Moreover, amongst your 3rd-generation disciples, there are few who can match you. King Tang stared at Lin Ling. He didn't understand why Lin Ling would do such a thing. In his opinion, Lin Ling was simply a monstrous genius of Radiant Academy. After all, he had come to kill Lin Ling, so he was naturally familiar with everything about Lin Ling. As for Lin Ling, he had just passed the assessment, and yet his strength had reached the 3rd generation. Even in Martial God world, this was unprecedented. For such a monstrous genius to take revenge for a mortal, this was simply unimaginable. At this moment, Lin Ling held the taboo flame and looked coldly at King Tang. The flame in his hand was also gently raised. Because she called me master. The flames burned the earth. Everyone, including King Tang, felt a strong pressure. It was as if they had seen the first flame in the chaos of the universe. This flame was sacred and majestic. It was the ancestor of all flames. Boom! The entire city exploded. The flames burned like the wrath of the flame ancestor. In just an incense stick's time, the entire city was turned into nothingness. Everyone had died in battle. Crackling flames soared into the sky. For those who died, there was only one sentence in their minds. Because that person called me master. Because of this sentence, Lin Ling had killed all of them. What happened? The earth continued to shake as if the heavens and earth were collapsing. A moment later, a large number of figures appeared in the sky, frowning as they looked at the flames on the ground. It was a terrifying flame that gave them a lot of pressure. You tell me what happened. After that, one of them looked at the ground in the distance. He saw a person sitting on a rock, calmly drinking wine, as if he was a lone martial artist. Chapter 24-27. Saint Body Demon Heart. Are you from the Flying Dragon Organization? However, the blue-robed youth was calm. He looked up and lightly asked, It's you, Lin Ling? Seeing this, the complexions of the newcomers changed. This was because they were from the Flying Dragon Organization, and they also recognized Lin Ling, it seems so. Then, without an 8th-stage world king, all of you must die. Lin Ling drank another mouthful of strong wine. He stood up, his robes flapping in the wind. Sun Yener had just stepped onto the road of martial arts, but she had been eliminated by these people. Then today he would eliminate all of them. Kill. He lifted his ancient sword, fighting for Sun Yener. This was also because she had called him master. Although they had met by chance, and it might be difficult for them to meet again in the future, since she had called him master, Lin Ling had the responsibility to avenge his disciple. A master for a day was a father for life. This was also because Lin Ling's personality was the most protective of his disciples. For his brothers, he would risk his life. For his family, he dared to fight the heavens. Good, Lin Ling, we were looking for you, but you delivered yourself to our doorstep. Mission complete. There were many Flying Dragon Organization assassins here, and each one of them had a considerable background. There were even 3 generations of Heavenly Saint Academy. Lin Ling was only one person, and he was only at the 4th stage of the World King realm. Where did his confidence come from? Even if there were 7th stage World Kings, Lin Ling still didn't have the qualifications to be arrogant in front of them. Divinity and Demon Body. Profound Symbol Sword. Evil Flame Transformation. However, after Lin Ling erupted with all of his cards, they discovered that he was the most terrifying monstrous genius in the history of Radiant Academy. This was also because Lin Ling's strength didn't seem like a 4th stage world king at all. Blood gushed out. Thunderous rumbles continued, as if the heavens were falling apart. At this time, Lin Ling was fighting against 10 assassins. Lin Ling's body was covered with more and more wounds. But he clenched his teeth and didn't retreat. He would not retreat until the heavens and earth darkened. The scene of him meeting the young girl for the first time appeared in his mind. After this mission is over, I will help you increase your talent and guide you in a set of martial arts. Really? The beautiful girl's face was filled with joy. Then she asked expectantly, Then how powerful will I be? Stronger than those guys outside. That's an unchangeable fact. Lin Ling said. The young girl was naive and stubborn towards her dreams. He couldn't let her down. Xiao Yan, it's fate that we met. I'll teach you a cultivation technique. Also, I have a martial god fruit here that can change your talent. With that cultivation technique, you should be able to reach the strength of a sector lord in the future. The young girl's dream had a beginning, but unfortunately, there was no ending. This was the sorrow of the weak. Perhaps, others would think that Lin Ling had gone mad. For a person he had only met once, he was willing to fight to the death. But Lin Ling didn't think so. Because he wanted to fight. This was Lin Ling. He did whatever he wanted, lawless. If he wanted to fight, if he wanted to kill, then he would fight and kill. In life, one should be able to repay kindness and enmity as they please. Why should one care so much? Die! Blood dyed Lin Ling's clothes red. His hair wildly danced in the wind, making him look like a demon. Who is that? How fierce! He can actually fight so many 7th stage world kings by himself. Right now, 6 people have already died under his hands. Look at how young he is. He has such strength at such a young age. In the future, his name will surely spread throughout the martial god world. In the distance, many martial artists cried out in alarm. This was the first time they had ever seen such an intense battle. Rumble, rumble, rumble. In front of them, the skies shattered and the earth cracked open. The entire world seemed as if it would disintegrate. After an unknown period of time, the figures fighting in front of them all vanished. All that was left was tumbling, chaotic spiritual energy. There was the power of thunder, wind, rain, fire, and so forth. Pa! But at this time, from the chaotic spiritual energy, a voice like that of a god of death walked out. He grasped a broken sword, and his long hair was dyed red. His blue robes had also turned red. As he walked out, every step was startling. This was because a massive amount of blood flowed out from beneath his feet. It made one wonder if this youth would fall to the ground at any moment. It's him, Lin Ling, the person the Flying Dragon organization has been searching for all this time. Someone cried out in alarm, their hearts pounding. Lin Ling had actually eradicated all of the assassins. How terrifying. If we kill him, then we can obtain a reward from the Flying Dragon organization? I heard that the Flying Dragon organization's rewards have always been rich. Someone licked his lips. But just as his voice fell, he saw the youth's merciless gaze land on him. This caused his heart to shake. Pa pa pa. He quickly slapped his own mouth. I'm just speaking nonsense. Please don't take it to heart. As his voice fell, he immediately fell to his knees. As for the crowd, their hearts trembled. With just a glance, that 5th stage world king powerhouse no longer dared to fight. This Lin Ling had simply become infamous for his slaughter. 18 people. Died at the hands of others. 13 were killed by me. And there is still one more. Everyone heard the indifferent youth mutter to himself. He grasped his sword and slowly walked forwards with his severely wounded body. His back was proud and aloof. He was like a sword that would never break, upright and outspoken. Even though he was severely wounded, no one dared to kill him at this moment. This was because his courage and boldness had caused everyone to submit to him. It wasn't until the youth vanished into the distance that everyone dared to discuss amongst themselves. They had already heard that in this vast universe, there were martial arts fanatics. The more difficult something was, the more these martial arts fanatics liked to challenge it. And today, they had finally seen a martial arts fanatic. Most importantly, this martial arts fanatic was very young. Moreover, he was only at the 4th stage of the World King realm. He wants to kill the last expert from the Flying Dragon organization as well? He's crazy. Then, as they recalled Lin Ling's words, their bodies began to shake even more fiercely. Rising Sun World welcomed many powerhouses. Their greatest goal was not Lin Ling, but the treasure left behind by the 1st-generation ancestor of the Sun family, the Saint Body Demon Heart. It was said that this was a formidable talent. It could allow a martial artist to be reborn and reach the heavens in a single bound. At this time, in an ancient ruin, there was a giant statue. This statue was of a middle-aged man. He grasped a great saber and looked into the distance as if he were looking down on the world. This statue was impressively the 1st-generation ancestor of the Sun family. It was said that the Saint Heart demon body was within this statue. And all around these ruins, there were figures everywhere. Their strength was extremely formidable. There were many true divinity realm existences among them. This Saint Body Demon Heart can enhance the talent of the awakened divine body. Whoever obtains it will obtain the world. But there is only one Saint Body Demon Heart. In my opinion, why don't we all compete for it? Yes. That's right, that's what I'm thinking. Yes. Ancient powerhouses stood on the mountain peaks around the ruins, their powerful auras suppressing this world. That's Xian Chipa. That's a lord of 1,000 realms, one of the top 10 kings of the southern border. Yes. At this moment, the greedy crowd swallowed their anger and swallowed their anger. This was because too many powerhouses had appeared. It wasn't their turn to compete for the treasure. Look, that's Fortune Manor's Sunset Glory. He's also here. The crowd's eyes shifted, falling on a tall and sturdy old man. This old man was like a god of war. Every movement he made was filled with a domineering aura. Chapter 24-28. The Clash of Three Generations. I didn't expect so many experts to come. It's not easy to fight, Luo Riyao said indifferently. He could only watch the show now. That was because the younger generation of experts from various factions had come. If they wanted to obtain the sacred body's demon heart, it would depend on their strength. These old monsters were too embarrassed to fight. Moreover, if they fought, the others would fight too. Therefore, the treasure could only belong to the geniuses. I didn't expect Ling Ying from the heavenly court to come as well, Luo Riyao said while looking at the other side. He had entered the Eight Gods' heavenly palace with Luo Riyao before. Not only Lord Ling Ying, but An Yi is also here. Over there. Yes. The green-robed old man smiled and pointed at the other side. As a result, the three leaders of the Eight Gods' heavenly palace were all gathered here. These leaders were all at the true immortal realm. They were quite famous in the myriad of worlds. The 10 sword immortals of Qingzhou and Elder Qi are here too. Yes, Luo Riyao said again. The crowd was in an uproar. It seemed that the sacred body's demon heart had attracted a lot of people. I also want the sacred body's demon heart. Let's fight. Yes. At this moment, a charming voice was heard. A giant spider appeared on the mountain in the distance. Except for its legs, the spider had a human body. Moreover, its body was very attractive. It was Queen Qianji. Queen Qianji, have you cultivated for more than 1,000 years? If so, are you not embarrassed to fight for it? Yes. Soon an old man sneered. Queen Qianji cursed inwardly. She had cultivated for more than 1,000 years. Obviously, she was disqualified. Many old monsters had gathered here. Those old monsters were too ashamed to fight for the treasure. That was why they had created this kind of competition. In this way, the old monsters did not need to fight among themselves. Others would benefit from it. Let me. Yes. At this moment, a calm voice was heard. A young man in white clothes walked out from the crowd. He had long purple hair and a strong emperor's chi. It's Heavenly Snow King. Looking at the young man, many people cried out in alarm, because the young man was from the 3rd generation of the Heavenly Saint Academy. His strength was extremely powerful, and he was ranked in the top 10 of the 3rd generation of the Heavenly Saint Academy. It was clear that he had taken a fancy to the Saint Physique's demon heart. With him going to battle, it would be difficult for others to compete. You are go. However, some people refused to believe it and sent their own juniors to fight. A black-clothed youth stepped forward. His fighting spirit boiled over as he erupted with the strength of a 7th-level world king. Between his palms and fists, the world rumbled. Weak. However, the white-clothed youth shook his head in disdain. Divine light protected his body. Awaken the divine body. Seeing this, many people's expressions changed drastically. As expected of the top 10 3rd generation of Heavenly Saint Institute. Although you have an awakened godly body, it doesn't mean everything. A true genius can fight against someone of a higher level. The young man gritted his teeth and shouted angrily when he sensed the pressure from his opponent's talent. 3 rocks heaven and earth. He punched out again and again, and the waterfall-like stone pillars shot out with his fists. However, they were quickly blocked by the white-clothed youth and counterattacked. Puff! The young man spat out a mouthful of blood and was defeated. That is Di Rinue from Western World's Luofeng Villa. He was defeated so quickly. Everyone was shocked. Even Luo Riyao and the other old monsters nodded secretly. Heavenly Snow Monarch was very strong. He would definitely catch up to them in the future. Next, Heavenly Snow Monarch said indifferently. His white robes were whiter than snow, and he gave off an extremely cold feeling. Let me. Another powerful genius stepped forward. He was also a 3rd generation of the Institute. However, he was quickly defeated. Many old monsters even felt that even if they stepped forward, they might not be able to defeat Heavenly Snow Monarch. Heavenly Snow Monarch could definitely be ranked in the top 20 among the 3rd generation of the 3 great academies. Among the 3rd generation of the 3 great academies, besides those few monstrous geniuses, no one could be his opponent. Is there no one else? Heavenly Snow Monarch said proudly after becoming the focus of the entire ruins. To be able to shine in front of so many ancient powerhouses was extremely rare even for him. However, after he spoke, the ruins remained silent. It seemed that no one from the younger generation dared to step forward. As for those old monsters, their eyes flickered. They were unwilling to accept this result. However, their juniors had failed to live up to their expectations. Who else could they blame? "I'll fight with you." Just when everyone thought that the sacred body demon heart had fallen into Heavenly Snow Monarch's hands, a cold voice drifted out. A man in armor slowly walked out under the gazes of countless people. However, no one recognized him. The man gave off a strange feeling. Has anyone cultivated for more than 1,000 years? Heavenly Snow Monarch stared at the ladder. He discovered that the ladder was at the 7th level of the World King realm. However, the other party gave off a great pressure. He was probably an invincible existence in the 7th level of the World King realm. In the Martial God realm, there were many geniuses who were invincible. Once they were invincible, this battle would be extremely exciting. "I've cultivated for 900 years. Is that enough?" The armored man's aura was wild and tyrannical. "May I know your name?" Heavenly Snow Monarch frowned and asked again. "Long Patian." The armored man smiled and took off the armor on his body. What was terrifying was that when the armor fell to the ground, the earth instantly cracked open. Moreover, the armor directly disappeared. It was likely that it had reached the core of the earth. This fellow is actually wearing such heavy armor. The crowd's complexion changed. This youth seemed to be carrying a world on his back. "It's you, the #1 disciple of Blue Soaring Academy's Sword Dao Department, Long Patian." But compared to everyone's surprise, Heavenly Snow Monarch didn't even look at the armor on the ground. Instead, he stared at Long Patian. He had clearly heard of this name before. This was one of the top 3 geniuses of Blue Soaring Academy's 3rd generation. "You aren't too ignorant. Not only am I the #1 disciple of Blue Soaring Academy's Sword Dao Department, but I am also the president of the Heavens Trade Union." Long Patian lightly said, his aura seeming as if he didn't care about anything at all. As these words fell, many people cried out in alarm. The geniuses of the 3 great academies were more familiar with the name Long Patian. But when it came to the Heavens Trade Union, these wandering cultivators were even more familiar with it. This was a trade union that had suddenly emerged. Its reputation in the East, West, South, and North realms was not weak. Once, there was a ruler of 10 realms who had provoked a woman from the trade union. As a result, the trade union's president had led everyone to overturn the 10 realms. This matter had spread far and wide through the myriad realms. Who knew that the president would be so young and that he was Long Patian? "So it's you." Heavenly Snow Monarch had clearly heard of the Heavens Trade Union. His complexion became even more dignified. When geniuses roam the myriad realms, they will definitely make a name for themselves. The Heavens Trade Union is only one of them. I have many other powerful identities, but I'm too lazy to talk about them now. "Let's fight," Long Patian arrogantly said. His hands shook and the roar of a dragon resounded. "Let me see just how powerful your awakened divine body is." His attack was earth-shattering. At the 7th stage of the World King realm, his cultivation was solid. Moreover, he also had an awakened divine body. Every move of his was accompanied by thunder. Heavenly Snow Break. A snow mist spear appeared in Heavenly Snow Monarch's hand. As he waved it, it seemed to condense the power of snow in the universe. It was extremely powerful. Pung pung pung. You're tuning in to the Blee Maze Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.